It's not a disaster. It's not a landslide either. But the tripwires they set in Florida didn't go for them. Georgia's not going to go for them in my view. North Carolina, I could be wrong, but I don't believe North Carolina is going to go for them either, based on the areas where they're getting this vote from what I'm looking at myself. And the president continues to pick up numbers there too. Ohio, I would be deeply surprised. I'd be very shocked if Joe Biden won Ohio. And so now we'll see what happens in Michigan, because the Michigan vote's in. And again, I want to remind you, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nevada, all these other states we're relying on. It's very, very important that you come through for us, for the rest of the country. And then we shall overcome. We will meet here tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you then. God bless.
Your national, state, and local election station is 92.7 WGMD, Rehoboth Beach, Del Mar, Berlin, the talk of Delmarva.
All right, just about 8:58 across Delmarva as the polls have been closed in Delaware and Maryland for just about an hour now, just about 2 hours for the state of Virginia. Now we await the results, although some are in. We'll get to that coming up. But tonight, of course, the national election for president takes center stage between President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. However, we have so many other races and even constitutional amendments to cover tonight. Let's start with the bulk of the races which are taking place in Delaware. You have the gubernatorial election between Governor John Carney and GOP candidate Julianne Murray. There's also Libertarian and Green candidate with a host of write-ins. The lieutenant governor races between incumbent Democrat Bethany Hall Long and Republican Danielle Hall. The Delaware U.S. Senate race between Democrat incumbent Coons, that would be Senator Chris Coons, and Republican Lauren Witzke. Independent Mark Turley and Libertarian Nadine Frost. The Delaware U.S. House race between the incumbent Lisa Blunt Rochester and Republican Lee Murphy. Independent candidate Catherine Purcell and Libertarian David Rogers. There's an insurance commissioner race between the incumbent Democrat Trinidad Navarro and Republican Dr. Julia Pillsbury. There are several downstate Republican House and Senate candidates that are running unopposed. However, in the 35th House District, the Republican incumbent Jesse Vanderwent is being challenged by Darren Harris, the Democrat, and in the 36th District, Republican incumbent Brian Shoup is being challenged by Democrat Greg Fuller. Now, we'll also be watching several upstate races as well, which could put the Democrats in full control of the legislature, or we could see Republicans make some small inroads. But back to the Democrats for a second, they have a number of progressive candidates that won their primary that are running in the general, and if they should win, not only would that potentially be a gain for the Democrats in terms of numbers, but also a shift in party philosophy. There are two Sussex County Council races. In District 1, Council President, Republican incumbent Mike Vincent is being opposed by Democrat challenger Hunter Hastings. In District 3, Mark Schaefer, the Republican candidate who won the primary over I.G. Burton, the incumbent, is now being challenged by the write-in candidate Patty Drago, who had initially urged IG to run as a write-in after losing the primary. Now, in Maryland, there are two constitutional amendments, one that would give more power to the legislature over the budget, and the second would allow for sports gambling. Some counties have local issues on the ballot as well, like Talbot County. There is a congressional race in the 1st District, which covers the entire Eastern Shore, as the incumbent Republican Andy Harris is being challenged by Democrat Mia Mason. In Ocean City, the mayor, Rick Meehan, is running unopposed. On the council side, incumbents John Gehrig and Tony DeLuca are running for re-election. Frank Knight is running in place of his wife, Mary, who's not running for re-election after serving about 15 years. Dennis Dare also not running for re-election, which opens up another seat, as in addition to Frank Knight, Peter Buas, Nicholas Eastman, and Daniel Hagan are running. In Wycomico County, the District 2 council seat pits Republican incumbent Nicole Ackley against Democrat challenger Alexander Scott. We'll cover all the races and questions and provide results and analysis tonight. We have analysis from Delaware lawyer, political historian, and host of the Tipping the Scales of Justice show, heard Saturdays noon to 2 here on 92.7 WGMD, John Brady. Also, analysis tonight from the host of Delmarva Live, heard weekdays from 9 a.m. until noon, Jake Smith. With election results in the Sussex County newsroom, Mary Lou, and in our Newcastle newsroom, Mark Fowser. Mark Giuliani and Julia Hardy providing video and graphics for our live stream right now at WGMD.com and the WGMD Facebook page. They're doing yeoman's work, and I look forward to seeing that production tonight, as should you. Our executive producer for tonight is Operations Manager and Program Director Walt Palmer. I'm Mike Bradley, and good night to one and all, as we are certainly past evening at this point, now 9:02 across Delmarva. And let's bring in WGMD's John Brady to start things out. John, a good night to you. And a couple of months since the primary elections, let's hope that certainly the results coming in from the First State's website doesn't give us the kind of issues that we had a couple of months ago. It doesn't appear that's the case. But tonight, what at this point are you ready to call and not call? John, we're not hearing you yet over there.
How about now?
We've got you now. Go ahead, sir. Good evening to you.
There you go. That's still getting used to a different board. I'm going to start in Virginia. The 2nd District, which is the Eastern Shore, that seat was an upset 2 years ago as the incumbent Scott Taylor was defeated by Elaine Loria. Well, it looks like it's going to be reversal night tonight. That President Trump's coattails on the Eastern Shore have carried Scott Taylor back into Congress. With 77% of the vote in, there is a 20-some thousand lead for Scott Taylor, about 24,000 vote lead. And with the number of votes that are left to be counted there, I believe it's pretty confident that that's going to be one more Republican in the House. In Delaware, although some of the other media are calling based on, we only have at the moment a very small amount of districts reporting. Because of that, the only races I'm comfortable in calling are the ones where they were unopposed. So here in Sussex County voters have returned Speaker of the House Pete Schwarzkopf. They've also returned Ruth Briggs King, Ron Gray, Danny Short, the minority leader in the House, Tim Dukes, and Rich Collins to the State House, and returned Senator Brian Pettijohn and Minority Leader Senator Gerald Hocker. The unopposed county race, after a very hard-fought primary, Cindy Green is the new county councilwoman for the 2nd District, and Jay Jones has been returned as clerk of the peace.
John, taking a look here at the county council races for District 1, I'm seeing here, and I don't know exactly the percentage in and the total votes for that district, but right now, Hunter Hastings, the Democrat challenger to Mike Vincent, is leading 53 to 46% of the vote that is in right now. Not too many machine votes, but while Mike Vincent has the advantage there, Hunter Hastings has the advantage by about 570 to be exact in the absentee votes.
Correct. And Hunter Hastings came in strong with absentee ballots and mail-in ballots. He received 2,376 to 1,806 for Mike Vincent. Mike Vincent, so far, the machine votes we have in are 367 to 102. I think that's going to show a trend in Sussex County that a lot of Republicans did not fill out absentee ballots and went ahead to the polling places today, contributing to the long lines of voting here in Sussex.
Now, let's bring in WGMD's Jake Smith, host of Delmarva Live, and continuing in that part of the conversation. First, Jake, it is clear that the absentee votes, the majority of those are Democrats, and that the machine votes are Republican, just based on the initial numbers we saw. And again, we expected that to be the case, that we, as Republicans, were certainly pushing for voting in person, making sure that your vote was counted as compared to taking a chance in the mail, and that has certainly borne out in the state of Delaware.
No, there's no question, Mike, that we expected the most of the mail-in ballots to be that those voting for Democrat candidates. But right now, I'm trying to get results, and I'm not sure, John, if you're experiencing the same thing. The state website keeps crashing. It's almost like I'm feeling it's primary night again.
Now, Mary Lou, let me bring you in here for just a second in our Sussex newsroom. You had just messaged me, though, for District 1. I believe ED being election district. There's only one, though, insofar with any machine votes.
District 5, the machine votes are 102 for Hunter Hastings and 367 for Mike Vincent.
Understood. Though, just initially, taking a look at the numbers, that was something that stood out to me. But thank you for that clarification on that. And again, we weren't calling anything, but just taking a look at the numbers there. But again, we've got so many races going on right now. Now, again, John, going back to you for a second, you had made mention there are some other media outlets that are calling the gubernatorial race, the congressional race, the Senate race for the first state, but you're not ready to do that yet.
No, and I want to see more machine totals in because of the turnout today. We know there were a lot of absentee ballots, but we don't have a lot of the machine the people voting in person. And usually you have twice as many people voting in person as you have absentee ballots. I will say 155,000 absentee ballots that look like have been voted today is a lot, but I think there were still a lot of people in line today, and I just want to wait a few minutes until we get some more votes in. We now only have about 25,000 machine votes in at the moment. We just got a new update of a few minutes ago, and they're supposed to be updating every 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, well, we do have some results in that I definitely feel comfortable in going with because we've got the official email from the town of Ocean City. There are some Maryland elections tonight, not nearly as numerous as Delaware, but the Mayor Rick Meehan, who is running unopposed, has won re-election, 1,146 votes. But on City Council tonight, the leading vote getter, 29-year-old and local lawyer Peter Buas, 1,137 total votes. He led the way among all those running for city council. He comes in first place there. Not that they're keeping count in terms of first, second, third. Ultimately, you get a seat or you don't get a seat. But he did lead the way with 1,137 total votes. John Gehrig, who was running for re-election, 1,036. Now, the next up would be Tony DeLuca, also, who ran for re-election, 919. And Frank Knight, who is running in place of his wife, Mary Knight, who decided not to run for re-election, that is 707. So the newbies to the city council race, because Frank Knight was a known commodity, if you will, a known person who had served civically in some other areas, Nicholas Eastman and Daniel Hagan, they did not win the city council race tonight for any of the seats that they were going for. So that is the latest from Ocean City. That's the official word from Ocean City there. Also, Wycomico County tonight, as we know, there is a council race for District 2. Also, a couple of constitutional amendments that I made mention of. Now, Jake, let me go back to you. Jake Smith, host of Delmarva Live. Jake, today we took, both of us, numerous calls of long lines all over Sussex County, especially, although we've received word from all over the state of unprecedented turnout today. But I can't say, honestly, I'm surprised about that, Jake. A very passionate base of voters that we've talked to now, at least for the last year.
Well, Mike, I agree. The question is, where are the results from those who voted today? I don't see them based on the results that I'm looking at tonight, and I just finally got the website back up from the Department of Elections. John Brady, what are your thoughts? I do not see the turnout reflecting on what we're looking at tonight. I just don't see it. What do you say, John?
We only have 72 out of 439 precincts reporting for machine votes, so that's about 45,000 voters. There were more than 45,000 people out there in line today. And I have very scarce reporting looking statewide from Sussex County. In fact, it looks like that from Sussex County, we only have in-person results from a small amount of people. Because of that, I would say that it's just getting them in. They're not a lot getting in. Newcastle County has about 30,000 votes that have come in up there. Based on how I look at that is look at the county races for clerk of the peace to give an idea of how many machine votes they have for those races. And for example, we only have about 12,000 machine votes in Kent County. We only have 14,000 machine votes in Newcastle County and we have in Sussex County, we have only about 7,000 machine votes in. So it's still early on the machine vote counting. I think that's going to start to speed up in the next half hour or so.
All right, let me bring in WGMD's Mark Fowser from the Newcastle newsroom. Mark, you and I and Jake talked this morning, and we've talked at other times as well, also during the primary, concerning upstate races. There were a number of Democrats that are progressives that won their primary. Does that open the door for Republicans to have a chance to win because maybe that district isn't ready to go that far left? Or does that give the Democrats a win in the general but also shift the philosophy of the party? But as we've been taking a look at going back to the primary and now tonight for the general, as we take a look at the state Senate, District 1, Sarah McBride against Stephen Washington. That's an open seat, but clearly you've got two different type candidates running there. Sarah McBride, certainly very liberal, well-funded, though. Stephen Washington, a teacher, a deacon, running District 5. Kathy Cloutier trying to hold on to that seat against Kyle Gay, who also is very well-funded, very visible. She's a progressive. Anthony Del Calo looking to hold on to his seat in District 7 against Spiros Matazavinos there. We're also taking a look at District 13, Marie Pinckney, the progressive, against Alexander Homich, the Republican there. Bruce Ennis, the incumbent at 14, against Craig Pugh, the Republican. And Dave Lawson, the incumbent there, getting a race from J.C. Hugg. So we'll start there with the Senate, because right now, 12-9 advantage for the Democrats. The Republicans want to hold on to their seats, if not try to gain one back to make it 11-10 again.
Right, and we're looking at Kathy Cloutier in District 5, and as you mentioned, State Senator Anthony Del Colo in District number 7, trying to retain GOP sway in the Senate. And if should they go down, the Senate expands. The Senate Democrats expand upon their majority, which is already, as we mentioned, at 12-9, giving them more power and more ability to pass, more proposals without too much opposition.
Right. If the Democrats maintain their margin in the House and gain at least one in the Senate, then they would have total control over tax increases, maybe gun control legislation, etc., and that would be problematic if you are a conservative. Also, District 9 of the state Senate, Jack Walsh, the incumbent, going up against Todd Ruckel. That may be more of a competitive race than I initially gave credence to. Now, on the state House side, in District 7, Larry Lambert, the Democrat, against Republican James Hallbrick. That's an open seat at District 8. Daniel Satofsky, the Republican from Middletown, the Middletown area district, that is, a New York City cop formerly. He's been in the first state, though, for 16 years, running against Sharia Moore, who's a liberal Democrat. District 9, Kevin Hensley, the incumbent, against Debbie Harrington. Hensley, the Republican, Harrington, the Democrat there. District 21, Michael Ramone, the Republican incumbent, against Stephanie Berry, the Democrat. And then District 26 and 27, those are ones really to watch tonight, because you've got Medina Wilson-Anton in District 26, the Democrat, who's a progressive, against Republican Timothy Conrad, and then Eric Morrison, also a progressive in District 27, running against Republican Donald Keister III.
Yep, that's what we have on the line today. And don't forget about William Bush in District 29, running against Robin Hayes. Bush, the Democrat, Robin Hayes, the Republican there. So, plenty of opportunities for Republican candidates to pick up seats, but conversely, plenty of opportunities for Democrats to expand their control in the state House as well. I would be looking at District 9 in particular, with Kevin Hensley facing what's going to be a very stiff challenge, it looks like, from Debbie Harrington in that Middletown race. Middletown, of course, one of the fastest growing spots in all of Delaware.
Now, the interesting thing is tonight, the Democrats may gain a seat in the Senate, but if the Republicans were to gain a seat in the House, then that supermajority advantage that the Democrats would have, well, that wouldn't happen. But you would not expect that to be something that would go against the Democrats in the House. But that's the way it could end up happening tonight, where maybe they do gain in the Senate, but the Republicans gain one in the House. We'll have to see. And by the way, Anthony Del Calo, the Republican in District 7 of the state Senate, running against Spiros Mansavinos. I did my best, Mary Lou, who sent me a pronunciation guide, so I do appreciate that. Well, Mark, thank you. We'll stay on top of those upstate races with you in the Newcastle newsroom. It's 9:16 the time. Mike Bradley, John Brady, Jake Smith, Mary Lou, Mark Fowser, and the cast of thousands. And we're going to take a timeout. We're going to come back. The national scene, the presidential election, that's also, of course, I understand, center mind. We'll come back. We'll talk about that with Jake Smith next.
I'm WGMD Chief Meteorologist Sean Weatherby with your WGMD TrueCast weather. Tonight, mostly clear, west winds 5 to 10, diminishing late, low 48. Tomorrow, sunshine, south wind 5 to 10, high of 63, 54 tomorrow night. Thursday, mostly sunny, high of 67, 56 Thursday night. Friday, mostly sunny, 68. Saturday, patchy fog early, then sunshine, 67. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 67. Monday, mostly sunny, high of 68.
Relax. Jacuzzi. 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 Jacuzzi Hot Tubs of Delaware. Lewis and Millville. 302-537-5525.
How would you like the chance to win a truckload of DeWalt tools, plus the truck they came in? Yeah, we thought so. Don't miss Lowe's Provember event. Now through November 25th, you could win a set of 18 DeWalt tools worth over $3,000. And the truck? A 2021 Chevy Silverado. Enter for your chance to win at lowesforpros.com/Provember. Lowe's, the new home for pros. No purchase necessary. Starts 10/28, ends 11/25. LFP membership required. U.S. only. Entry rules on lowesforpros.com/Provember.
Everyone's got a lot to worry about these days. That's why Maryland Health Connection thinks you deserve the peace of mind that comes with having a health plan. And with our lowest rates in years, it's more affordable than you might think to get a plan that covers doctor visits, COVID-19 care, and more. Plus, 9 in 10 people who enroll get financial help. Enroll at marylandhealthconnection.gov to get the health insurance you need and the peace of mind you deserve. That's marylandhealthconnection.gov.
Does your home have an unpleasant odor? Are you embarrassed by the mold in places throughout your home and you just aren't sure who to call, who to trust? Sussex Environmental Consultants has been serving the Mid-Atlantic for over 20 years now, priding themselves in giving honest remediation plans that won't cost you an arm and a leg. Just simple, honest service. Their education and credentials are unmatched. Make your first call the last call. Sussex Environmental Consultants, 302-947-1810.
Wouldn't it be great to see your windows in a whole new light? Do it right. Call your local neighborhood experts, Budget Blinds. You'll get beautiful style and expert service for every budget with the #1 provider of custom window coverings in North America. Go online or call Budget Blinds and get a free consultation right at home. Now that's beautiful. At participating independently owned and operated franchises only. Ask for details.
Call your local Budget Blinds at 302-856-6799.
Don't get frantic. Call Atlantic.
Soon you'll be ready to turn up the heat. No need to bundle up in jackets and heavy sweaters around the house. With Atlantic Refrigeration, you'll be able to feel comfortable while saving money on your heating bill. Hi, this is Dave Jones. With great financing available, now is the time to take advantage of a new Trane heating and cooling system. Let us show you how we can reduce your energy bill up to 50%. Call Atlantic Refrigeration today, your independent Trane dealer, at 302-856-9300. Or find us online at atlanticrefrigeration.com, because it's hard to stop a Trane.
Subject to credit approval, see dealer for details.
This is Evangelist Rick Bridenbaugh, inviting you to listen to the Gospel Defender Ministries each Sunday morning at 8:30 over WGMD FM 92.7.
All right, 9:20 from Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD, WGMD.com, and the WGMD app. And we are live streaming our broadcast to our friends at Facebook.com/WGMD927. Also at WGMD.com. Julia and Mark next door in the sales room turned into a production studio. Looks great over there. And guys, thank you. They're putting up graphics and names and all sorts of things for you, the viewer and listener, tonight as we're providing both audio and video. I want to switch gears right now from the state and local elections to bring in WGMD's Jake Smith, host of Delmarva Live. And Jake, why don't we get an update right now on the presidential race? I also know there's some news concerning the House and Senate, but we'll start first, though, with the presidential election.
Well, Mike, I think the biggest news for the president so far is that he has won the state of Florida 29 electoral votes. Now, we're waiting for the results for the Midwest. Those are going to be the big states. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota. Now, I was just, while we were in commercial break, I was just popped on Newsmax. They were interviewing, believe it or not, the MyPillow guy, who has been very aggressively campaigning for the president. He said 100% the president will carry Minnesota. That is 10 electoral votes.
Yeah,
so,
that would be a state that you're not necessarily expected to get. In fact, not probable to get. But if he did, that would certainly go a ways towards helping. No question about it in the race, depending on what happens in, say, North Carolina. Although I understand it's 15 there, but if you lose North Carolina but you get 10 in Minnesota, that certainly would help that situation. For instance.
Now, earlier today, I said I was hoping that the president might have a chance in Illinois. That has not happened. Joe Biden has captured the 20 electoral votes from Illinois. Obviously, the suburbs did not go for President Trump the way in which I had thought. Right now, Ohio kind of up in the air. It's Joe Biden is leading in Ohio. I'm kind of surprised at that. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. 59% of the vote has been counted right now in the Buckeye State.
Yeah, well, that's very surprising. The interesting thing is the election's usually gone the way that Ohio has, although Ohio has not been talked about much in this election. We've heard about Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania.
And Florida.
And Florida, right. Although it certainly was, I shouldn't say assumed, but it was felt along the way that Ohio was in pretty good hands for President Trump there, and we felt pretty good about Florida as well. Now, I see, at least on the Fox website, that is, they've got Florida shaded red. They haven't called Florida yet, but you did say Florida for Trump. Is that just
Newsmax has called Florida for Trump.
Okay.
They also Newsmax is also saying they feel North Carolina will go to President Trump as well.
Well, that would be big. That's big.
And
there.
15 electoral votes right now. Based on the map that I'm looking at, it almost looks even, but based on the precincts that they were looking at, they indicated that North Carolina appears to go for President Trump, 15 electoral votes, if in fact that does happen. Of course, we're all waiting for Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania had some precincts that had machine problems, so they delayed the closing I guess maybe almost 30 minutes late. So we're still waiting for Pennsylvania. Right now, Biden is showing ahead in Pennsylvania, but I don't know. I just think that the oil industry is too important in Pennsylvania to go for Joe Biden, but we'll have to see, Mike.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Now, Fox is reporting that the House will be retained by the Democrats, which we expected to be the case. They're saying they may have even gained a seat. Now, we know Republicans gained a seat on the Eastern Shore of Virginia tonight there, but Fox is reporting not only a retention of the House by Dems, but maybe a further margin of the majority there. And, of course, the Senate, though, that's the body of the two that we really have to pay attention to, Jake, because if that slips into the hands of the Democrats, even if President Trump wins re-election, that could still be problematic for him.
Is it John James in Michigan, Mike, running for Senate? I believe it is.
Yes. Well, yeah, let me bring that up to be safe, but I believe
he's
yes.
ahead. He's ahead right now.
Well, and that would be an upset there.
Yes, that would be an upset.
Yeah, John
and,
James is the Republican. Gary Peters is the Democrat.
Correct. And Mitch McConnell certainly could use that flip because my guess is Susan Collins is not going to be returning to the Senate. That's my guess.
We were seeing earlier today there was a very slim margin for her. Ultimately, we'll have to see on that one. Jake, any other initial thoughts or reflections from tonight so far from the national scene?
Mike, I think things are pretty much going as we thought. Again, with Florida. Georgia, I thought President Trump was going to do a little bit better in Georgia than he has. But right now, I'm a little bit nervous about Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Ohio is surprising to me. It really is. That's a state that at one point I saw Trump was up 8 points in. And Joe Biden hadn't campaigned there a whole lot either. And
He hadn't campaigned anywhere, really.
And here's the thing. So Indiana goes for Trump. Michigan, at least I think objectively, let's say it's a toss-up there, if not maybe slightly leaning Trump there. So that we'll call that, purple to red. And Pennsylvania, we feel good about, but we'll call a toss-up there. We'll call that purple. It's interesting that Ohio, wedged in between those two states at the moment, is going blue. That's surprising.
And a very heavy industrial state.
Well, and
Ohio,
that's my point. I mean, they share commonalities with Michigan and Pennsylvania, and it's surprising to see because they certainly have plenty of auto plants. I know that my Chevy Traverse that's sitting out in the parking lot was made in Ohio.
Again, the auto industry very much in play here. We'll just have to see. Right now, I'm looking at Joe Biden with 51 to 47% of the popular vote in Ohio, and of course the 18 electoral votes that Ohio carries, very, very important. 59% of the precincts reporting in Ohio, so you still have about a little over 40%.
Yeah, still plenty to go. All right, Jake, thanks. We'll check back in with you. Let's switch gears now and head back to Studio, C, B, however you want to call it, WGMD's John Brady. John, you're watching state and local races this evening. Since we've last spoken, more machine vote tallies may or may not be in. What are you seeing tonight?
We're at about 170 of the 439 precincts are in. And, the machine votes are about even when you look for the Democrat and Republican. At the moment, on the machine votes in Delaware, Biden is ahead of Trump by less than 900 votes. So that tells me a large number of coming in from Sussex County. And that's the same way it is for every other state race. Where the bubble has been is every Democrat on the absentee votes got over 100,000 compared to 30-some thousand for the Republican opponents. So that's the difference we're showing at the moment. Right now, Carney's been dropping. He's now down to it's 67. Julianne Murray's at 30%. She's been climbing from when the initial votes went up that she was losing 80 to 20. So we still have a substantial number of votes to come in. One race in particular I wanted to give you an update on was the Sussex County Council District Number 1. Mike Vincent has jumped ahead with 54% of the vote to 45% of the vote for Hunter Hastings, and that was on a 2-to-1 difference, 2,278 to 1,083 machine votes. There was a 500 vote difference on absentee, so Mike Vincent has caught that up. And the way they're reporting Mark Schaefer is on his votes. We do not have any Patricia Drago votes. We're going to have to look at the undering, the ballots that don't show up to try and figure out how many votes she has. That's why they're saying her vote total won't be released until the Board of Canvass sits later this week in Georgetown.
And that was an interesting race because Mark Schaefer won the primary against the incumbent, I.G. Burton, who Burton defeated among two others, make that three others, 4 years ago in a Republican primary that had four candidates. But Mark Schaefer, the second time around, head-to-head, was able to defeat I.G. Burton by, I believe, 43 votes. Patty Drago had encouraged I.G. to go for a write-in candidacy for the general. He declined to do that, so she took up the mantle and has mounted a campaign here. And I guess my question, John, is, though, based on the numbers, is there a way to find out that tonight, based on how many votes Mark Schaefer gets, whether or not counting Patty Drago's will matter or not?
It's called an undervote. When you go in and vote, if you vote for every race, they call that the perfect ballot. And then, because the way the absentees are typed in and are marked on the mail-in absentee ballot vote, and they're typed into the machine, the way to do it is to look at the number of undervotes against the other races to try and figure out how many votes she has gotten. So what we're going to do is I'm going to work on that and try and do that. a couple of the races that we've been watching in the state representative 36th race, which is Greg Fuller against incumbent Brian Shoup, that race is a dead tie.
Wow, that's right. It is. Yeah.
2,099 votes for each of them. The problem with this new format is I can't tell how many districts are in, but we're going to go back and check. And Mike, you see, they just came up with some updated totals in the 35th, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, and I'll let you go. We need to take a timeout coming up as well. Yes, in the 35th, because boy, there's so much going on here tonight. As John just made mention of the 36th, Brian Shoup and Greg Fuller going head-to-head. That's one of two downstate races where a Republican does have a Democrat challenger. As you know, Sussex County is a Republican stronghold for the most part. But in these two races, you do have Democrat challengers. So in the 36, Brian Shoup, Greg Fuller, that's a dead heat at the moment. In 35, you've got Jesse Vanderwyn and Darren Harris. And Vanderwyn is the Republican incumbent. Harris is the Democrat challenger. Right now, Vanderwyn leads 59 to 40%. So he's got a sizable lead in that one. However, Harris leading by a little over 200 votes in the absentee side, but a sizable advantage for Vanderwyn with the machine votes. And that's a district that Dave Wilson once represented. But then when he went to the state Senate, Jesse Vanderwyn won that seat just a couple of years ago. All right, we'll take a timeout. Plenty more to get to as election coverage continues from Delmarva's election station. Mike Bradley, Jake Smith, John Brady, Mary Lou, Mark Fowser, the cast of thousands. We're back with more next.
This marine weather report is driven to you by Lewis Meineke Car Care Center. For a safe and pleasant driving experience, trust your car care to the professionals at Lewis Meineke.
I'm WGMD Chief Meteorologist John Weatherby with your WGMD TrueCast Marine Weather Report. Coastal waters, variable winds 5 knots or less, seas 1 to 2 feet. Wednesday, south winds 7 to 10 knots, seas at 2 feet. Ocean water temperature now 55 degrees. Delaware Bay west-northwest winds becoming southerly after midnight, seas at 1 to 2 feet. And Wednesday, south winds 5 to 8 knots becoming 7 to 10 knots later, seas around 2 feet.
You hear enough deadlines for a limited times. Rush, rush, go. That's stress on top of stress. You deserve to make a choice on your time. I mean, it is your dime. Choose how to save and when it works for you. Now that's a pep talk. Take control when you enroll in the Pep Up Energy Savings Program. To step up in savings any time of year, step up to Pep Up. 302-856-2555. For balanced billing on propane and heating oil, call Pep Up any day. 302-856-2555.
As the weather changes, pesky rodents will be looking for their new home in yours. Keep rodents away with Accurate Pest Control's professional pest management program. Accurate Pest Control is a locally owned, family-operated business with 25 years of servicing the shore. For the pest control company with a full staff of state-certified technicians, call Accurate Pest Control today at 302-875-2725 or visit on the web, accurate.pro.
Morning Star Publications publishes the Seaford and Laurel Star community newspapers, the Salisbury Star monthly newspaper, and the Morning Star Business Report. Pick up a copy of the Seaford or Laurel Star newspapers at your favorite convenience and grocery stores in western Sussex County. Learn more about our award-winning publications by calling 629-9788 or visiting our website, starpublications.online. First Class is your local leader for all your plumbing needs. Trust First Class for full-service water treatments for healthy and safe water at home. First Class will enhance your energy efficiency with a tankless water heater. First Class will upgrade faucets, fixtures, tub, or toilet. First Class will repair your well and water pressure. First Class will install your outdoor shower and winterize your home. Choose First Class for all your plumbing needs. Call 302-934-8900.
Heating, cooling, plumbing too. First Class takes care of you.
It's that time of year again to honor our veterans and first responders on Veterans Day, November 11th, with a free basic oil change. Hi, it's Dave from Lewis Meineke, and this is our way of saying thanks to all those who have served to protect our freedoms. This year, due to COVID restrictions and following Delaware's protocol, services will be provided by appointment only. So please call early to set up your appointment for your free basic oil change. They'll fill up fast. That's by appointment only. No walk-ins this year. Lewis Meineke, doing car care right. 302-827-2054.
All right, 9:36 the time on 92.7 WGMD, Delmarva's election station. As we continue on, election 2020, so much going on. The general election, state, local elections, constitutional amendments, you name it. Lots happening. We're covering it all. And election night being brought to you by our friends at Care Plus Pharmacy in Seaford, online at carepluspharmacyde.business.site. Also, Southern States Milford, online at southernstates.com. American Responder Services in Rehoboth, americanresponderservices.com. All right, I want to bring in once again Jake Smith, host of Delmarva Live, weekdays here from 9 until noon here at 92.7 WGMD. And Jake, I know that you cover a lot of the national scene, but you do cover the state scene to an extent as well. And in the first state, you've got a big gubernatorial election, and you and I have said this. Look, with all the fodder that we believe Governor Carney has given to the Republican Party, in this case specifically Julianne Murray, with the Vaughn riot, with the terrible economic progress from a state perspective. They've only really survived from the federal reforms thanks to President Trump's tax cuts and regulation cuts. When you talk about the handling of COVID and the state of emergency situation, we figured that, man, if the Republicans can't make some major headway here and or win the race this year, I'm not sure they're going to unless the state just absolutely tanks completely, and then that would give Republicans an opportunity there and maybe a year with an open seat. But as you take a look at this race, another 4 years of John Carney, as I mentioned to Julianne this morning, validates, for better or worse, everything he's done, especially in the last 9 months.
Mike, I can't disagree with you. Everything you said is spot on. As far as Carney is concerned, he has mismanaged his 4 years in office. And for him to get another 4 years basically validates from the voters that, hey, we're right with you, John. Even though you close churches, you won't allow more than 10 people in a family to gather in their homes. Whatever Carney has done, Vaughn was, well, you made a mistake, but what the heck, it's no problem, John. Mm-hmm. And take a look at Lisa Blunt Rochester, a congresswoman, Mike, that's done absolutely zero, nada. She did not campaign. She didn't lift a finger. And she's going to get reelected. It just shows you that I don't know what you have to do to get people to understand. But let's say, for argument's sake, President Trump is reelected tonight, right? Mm-hmm. All it does is just delay the inevitable, and that is this country is headed towards a socialist state at some point. You just cannot seem to get people to understand.
They have to feel the pain first, I guess.
Yeah,
huh?
Well, you know what, Mike? When next year, if businesses ever reopen, if John Carney ever allows us to go to phase 3, we're going to have a significant budget deficit in this state. And just wait what's coming down the pike. Because do you think that John Carney's going to make the tough choices about the workforce in Delaware, which is, as you know, the state of Delaware, #1 employer in the state? It's not any company that's manufacturing goods. It's the state of Delaware, #1 employer in the state.
Yeah, you never want that. You never want that to be the case.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean,
But no,
it's a deep state that just keeps protecting and replenishing itself.
Yeah. So we're seeing that with the machine votes coming in, that Julianne Murray's made headway, and right now she's about 4,000 shy in the machine votes, but clearly a huge distinction in absentee votes, a huge margin, I should say, between Governor Carney and Julianne Murray in that category. Also, we're seeing in the lieutenant governor race between the incumbent Democrat Bethany Hall Long and the Republican challenger Danielle Hall. Danielle's actually within less than 1,000 of the machine votes of Bethany Hall Long, but a substantial margin in absentee votes between Hall Long and Hall as you take a look at that. And the same is the case for the insurance commissioner vote. Julia Pillsbury only about 3,000 off the machine votes, but almost 90,000 in the absentee votes there as well.
Mike, can I ask you one other question? I mean,
Sure.
Take a look at how enthusiastic the electorate was. And we always complain that people, they don't get involved in elections as they should. You saw people lining up as enthusiastic as never before in my lifetime to vote in a presidential election. What does this do to them? Is it like taking a pin and popping a balloon? Do you totally dehumanize the conservative electorate to the state to the point where people are going to say, why should I even bother anymore? It doesn't make a darn bit of good.
Yeah. Well, they have to look in the mirror and take a look at what can they do to put their best foot forward. What issues can they win on? A regrouping has to take place, but right now, again, let's see how it all plays out. But again, the numbers are an issue. But at the end of the day, you can live with defeat if you know that you've done everything you possibly can do to win an election. I'm not sure that the party at this point can say that. In fact, I know that they can't say that. They may be making strides or trying to, but they're not there yet.
I heard from a number of polling locations that Republicans didn't even have representatives there sitting to greet voters when they came. The Democrats did, but the Republicans didn't. That falls on Jane Brady, doesn't it? Is that Jane?
In coordination with the local, with the counties, with the local jurisdictions there? Yes. I think there was the one report that at Cape Henlopen High School there was just one Republican greeter where the Democrats had 20. That can't be. And I know the Lewis area is more Democrat, but you can't have that kind of margin there. Jake, we'll come back to you coming up at 9:42 the time. Let me switch gears to Mark Fowser right now, as Mark in our Newcastle studios, Newcastle newsroom, keeping us up to date on upstate races, which does have an impact on everybody, including downstate Delaware, because of the power or potential power shift to a supermajority or to the Republicans' hold ground. Mark, what are you seeing in some of the big races in the Senate and House that we touched upon earlier?
Well, yes, Mike, as you mentioned, with the Senate Senate Democrats leading control in the Senate 12-9 over Republicans, they are looking to make some gains still, and we now have 242 of 439 precincts reporting, as we mentioned.
So that's
earlier,
over half now, right? Or almost.
Yes, we're getting to just over half of today's really tremendous turnout. It's been taking a while to count some of these, but in State Senate District 1, that stays in Democratic hands thanks to Sarah McBride, the first openly transgender lawmaker of this stature to be elected across the country. Sarah McBride, the Democrat, defeating Stephen Washington, the Republican, already claiming victory.
So we can call that?
Yeah, that's been called by herself as well. So presumably there's been a concession in that as well. But McBride leading 76% to just 24% for Stephen Washington. Now looking at State Senate District 5, that is one of the seats where there is a hotly contested race involving a Republican incumbent against an upward-and-coming progressive, if you will, Democrat, and that is Kyle Evans-Gay. And she is leading Kathy Cloutier 60% to 39% so far. Now, looking at this, there have been a total of about 16,000 votes counted. Cloutier won this election with 23,000 votes counted 4 years ago, 23,000 votes total in that district, suburban Wilmington. So there's still some votes to be counted there, but Cloutier has a lot of ground to make up, trailing Kyle Evans-Gay 60% to 39%. That's in State Senate District 5. And then State Senate District 7, another one we've been looking at, Spiros Mantsovinos, the Democratic candidate, former lobbyist, PR person, and also worked with the refinery some time ago as well in Delaware City. He is leading the incumbent, Anthony Del Colo, 59% to 40% in State Senate District 7. Del Colo was the winner, you may recall, several years ago over Patty Blevins, had a very powerful role, the Democratic lawmaker in the state Senate. But right now, Del Colo is trailing Spiros Mantsovinos in State Senate District 7. Looks like Jack Walsh is going to be a winner over Todd Ruckel in District 9. And we also have in this State Senate District 13, Marie Pinckney doing quite well against the Republican Alexander Homage. Pinckney was the winner over the longtime incumbent David McBride,
and she's
in that district.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but she's a progressive there. There was a thought that maybe Homage could win District 13 there, but right now, based on the numbers, that's an uphill battle. Also in 14, the thought was maybe Craig Pugh could defeat Bruce Ennis, but that also is not looking as good for Pugh there in that race.
That is true, and bear with me just 1 second here. My screen seems to have gone blank, so...
Okay, we can hear you. I don't know why somebody's ringing. We're getting ringing in on our Facebook chat, but anyway. Are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah,
here.
well, we can hear you. Just keep going on that. I'm not
Okay,
worried
sure.
about the screen at the moment.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, the screen went there. So yeah, Pinckney, like you said, Homich was trying to make a run against Pinckney there, but it is, with just 24% to Pinckney's 75%, looking like an uphill battle there. And Democrat Bruce Ennis in District 14 is holding on against Republican Craig Pugh, 61% to 38% there. David Lawson has been running back and forth with Jackie Hugg, the Democratic Party. David Lawson, the Republican in State Senate District 15. He's based in Marydale, Western Kent County. Lawson now leading 56% to 43% with a tremendous advantage over the machine votes in particular, 9,000 to 3,900 over Hugg compared to absentee, where Hugg had obtained 4,500 to just 2,000 for Dave Lawson. So that's where you're seeing a lot of the swing back and forth in terms of machine votes versus absentee votes, Democrat and Republican. Not unexpected, but kind of evidence in the numbers as well.
A couple of other races on the state house side. We're just taking a look in 6. They don't even have the numbers for the Republican there yet, but with 7, with District 8. Those were districts that were thought, again, Republicans had a chance of maybe gaining a seat in one of those. And right now, the numbers aren't looking so great for the Republicans in either of those cases. The Democrats on top, Larry Lambert in 7. I'm seeing Shreya Moore in District 8.
Yep, Larry Lambert with 69%. James Halbrick, the Republican, with just under 29%. There's a Libertarian candidate as well in that district. That's District 7. And Moore leading over Satofsky. Moore, the Democrat, 58% to 41% in District 8. And looking at District 9, I've had my eye on this for a little while. Kevin Hensley, the Republican incumbent in District 9, just a shade over Debbie Harrington, the Democratic candidate right now, 53% to 46%. So again, we're seeing that machine vote advantage kick in for Kevin Hensley in that 9th representative district.
Voter turnout, 44.97% from Mary Lou. In the Sussex County newsroom, checking in with us. That's a substantial turnout there, and hopefully
49%.
more. Yeah,
we're still counting. So
still counting. That's right.
I think there could be more.
I agree. I believe there will be.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, thank you for the update on that. We'll continue to watch those races right now. Nothing is official there in many of the races we had made mention of, but they're certainly trending to the way of the Democrats in many of those races, minus the one that Mark just brought up. We're also seeing in District 26 and 27 of those House races, both Democrats, progressives with substantial leads, at least at this point right now, which clearly shows a shift in the Democrat Party if they should go on to win. 9:48 is the time. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll join John Brady in Studio B as we'll continue to take a look at state and local. And before we do that, straight ahead when we come back, we'll get a look at the national race as well, of course. I know that's front and center on everybody's mind. There's so much going on tonight. Just for our Maryland listeners, by the way, I've been trying to get an update, taking a look at the state website for the congressional race in District 1. Andy Harris, the Republican incumbent, and Mia Mason, the Democrat challenger. Not seeing any results yet from the Maryland site. Maybe Mary Lou can help me on that one, but that is certainly assumed that Andy Harris should win that pretty comfortably. But we'll certainly find out. We do have Ocean City results, which we reported on a little bit earlier. We'll get back to those coming up. It's 9:49.
Before you know it, you'll have to kick on your furnace or heat pump. Be prepared. Don't wait till the last minute. Hi, I'm Mark Fry with Shegrin Heating and Air. Call us today to schedule a preventative maintenance to make sure your current system is ready to go when you need it most. Are you in the market to upgrade your existing heating and air equipment? With rebates up to $2,100 or 0% financing specials, now is the time to pull the trigger. Call Shegrin Heating and Air, a proud Lennox premium dealer for over 30 years at 302-644-7700 to take advantage of these great offers.
Ah, autumn. Cooler temperatures, beautiful colors, and the leaves. This is Keith Pettit with Southern States in Milford, and if leaves are a problem on your property, we have the tools to make your job easy. With handheld and backpack blowers from Echo and Steel, and if the job is too large for handheld blowers, we have Billy Goat brand commercial, walk-behind blowers, leaf vacs, and truck loaders. For the best brands of leaf removal equipment from Echo, Steel, and Billy Goat, stop by Southern States in Milford today.
For vehicle maintenance, oil changes, and new tires, I choose In-N-Out Tire Pros of Millsboro. Their customer service, honest technicians, and reliable warranties far surpass my expectations every time.
This is Bill Schreider of In-N-Out Tire Pros, your Millsboro connection to over 2 million brand name tires at value pricing. And now we offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all our work. And we staff ASE certified technicians. Make us your auto repair shop. In-N-Out Tire Pros, 302-934-1900.
Have an itchy throat, itchy nose, irritation of the eyes. It may not be outdoor allergies. You may have an indoor air quality issue in your home. Sue White and her staff at Sussex Environmental Consultants have been properly testing homes and industries for indoor air quality issues for over 20 years. Get to the root of the problem the first time and call Sussex Environmental Consultants for assessment and remediation. 302-947-1810.
Are you looking to enhance your outdoor living space, all while increasing the value of your home? Let the experts at Wharton's Landscaping Design create the outdoor sanctuary that you've been dreaming of. From paver patios with seat walls and fire pits to paver driveways, outdoor lighting, and irrigation installation, Wharton's Landscaping has the creativity and expertise to make your dreams a reality. View stunning pictures of previous projects at whartonsde.com or call 302-227-0913.
Historic elegance, where food meets the soul. At the Counting House Restaurant and Pub, open for lunch and dinner with daily specials, rooftop patio seating, and live music on the weekends. Visit the Counting House on the Circle in Georgetown, 302-856-1836.
All right, 9:52 election 2020 coverage continues. Mike Bradley, John Brady, Jake Smith, Mary Lou, Mark Fowser, and the cast of thousands. Election night coverage being brought to you by our friends at Gun Shooter Enterprises in Rehoboth, online at gunshooter.com. Also, First Class Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Crawl Spaces serving Delaware and Maryland, online at firstclasshvac.com. And Brazier's Pest Control serving coastal Delaware and Maryland, online at brazierspestcontrol.com. All right, I did find some results from the Maryland 1st District congressional race. Republican Andy Harris, the incumbent, 68% to 32% for the Democrat challenger Mia Mason. That's about 50,000 votes for Congressman Harris to 23,000 plus for Mia Mason. And the one for the Baltimore Sun, okay, 20% of the vote is in on that one. And he's got a pretty substantial lead in that race, as to be expected. Now, for the Ocean City election, just quickly, as we may mention, Mayor Rick Mann running unopposed. He received 1,146 votes from the election today. And the municipal was just today. If you voted early, for instance, say last week, you had to come back today for the municipal. Of the city council race, Peter Buas, Tony DeLuca, John Gehrig, and Frank Knight, all the winners. DeLuca and Gehrig running for re-election. Buas, a new candidate. Frank Knight, also a new candidate of sorts, but his wife Mary, having served for over 15 years, decided not to run for re-election. Okay, presidential election results right now. Now, this is according to Fox News. Joe Biden, 129 electoral votes. President Donald Trump, 109. President Trump with West Virginia, South Carolina, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Kansas, 3 of the congressional districts in Nebraska, North Dakota and South Dakota each, and Wyoming. Now, we were concerned about Ohio because it was shading blue. It's now shaded red. Michigan and Wisconsin continue to be shaded red. Minnesota is shaded blue. Georgia and Florida is shaded red. Texas is shaded red as well. Pennsylvania is shading blue. But again, those are 2 close to call right now in those races. Also, Iowa right now, the polls are closing there in just minutes. So that's what we have there. Let me bring in WGMD's John Brady. John, more results coming in from the Delaware state elections, although my page just is recirculating at the moment. But what can you tell us since we've last spoken?
Well, Mike, since we last spoken, we've got more votes in the 36th race, and that now is Brian Shoup has jumped out to a 1,100 vote lead with 6 of the 11 representative districts in the precincts. That one is now shifting. I can't tell from the numbers which ones are in from the Milford area. Looking at Shoup's big basis is from Milford, Fuller's big basis is Ellendale and Lincoln, and the absentees were only about 400 apart. So that's where we are on the 36th. And jumping over to the new Sussex County District 1, we still have a number of those districts out. We still have 6 districts out of the total in that. But to give you an idea what we're doing, what it is at that point now, it is Hunter Hastings has 40% of the vote, 44-26, and Mike Vincent has 65-58. Hastings was leading absentee votes by 500, but machine votes are coming in 2,700 greater for Vincent.
Yeah, and that's a race that we're watching here with Mike Vincent, the council president. And you're right, a strong showing initially by Hunter Hastings, but Mike Vincent coming on strong with the machine votes. And then District 3, Mark Schaefer, who won the Republican primary against the write-in candidate Patty Drago. Of course, we don't know Patty Drago's results from the absentee. Those won't be counted until tomorrow. But we may find out tonight, based on the numbers, whether or not that's going to be necessary or not, as to whether Mark Schaefer will win or we have to wait until those numbers tomorrow. But the downstate House rep races you mentioned, Vanderwent and Shoup, both leading pretty convincingly at this point. Those were the 2 downstate Republicans that were being challenged by Democrats. A handful of Republicans in Sussex County running unopposed, which shows the Sussex County Republican stronghold, the Republican stronghold that Sussex County is. But those upstate races, John, certainly leading the Democrats leading the way there, and a number of progressives, which really tells you where the party's going if those numbers should hold up. That's correct, and I'm looking now at the numbers in so far in the 7th senatorial district with Mantas-Avinos versus Del Calo, and they only have about 7 of 14 out. Well, there are a couple more down there, so we still need to wait on that. But based on the absentee numbers, Mantas-Avinos was leading in that state senate race. That was a seat held by a Democrat, Patty Blevins, the President Pro Tem of the Senate, until Del Colo upset her 4 years ago. And now that race has tightened up to about 1,200 votes apart. Yeah, and watching Cloutier and Del Colo, and it's going to be an interesting night, and still more numbers, still more votes to be counted and come in. But right now, Republicans upstate certainly have to be worried, but 54.4% voter turnout so far from the state website we're seeing, at 320 of 439 precincts reporting. So we're starting to get to see the light at the end of the tunnel here. Yes, we are, and we'll refresh a couple of these to see how close they are, but that's how we were expecting to get votes in, and when we get a little closer on some of these races, we'll be more comfortable. All right. John, thank you. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we will reset the scene, and we'll start at the top with the national election, and we'll check in with WGMD's Jake Smith. Mike Bradley anchoring tonight, along with John Brady, Jake Smith, Mary Lou, and Mark Fowser, the cast of thousands here. Keep it here. It's 9:59.
Has the COVID-19 pandemic changed your investment picture? Are you searching for proactive communication with your advisor? Herman Financial Services has been in Milford for the last 28 years as independent, objective investment advisors. We are a local, family-based, family-valued firm with a focus on income planning. We would like to partner with your family. Herman Financial Services, 302-424-1748.
Securities offered through Triad Advisors, LLC. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Triad Hybrid Solutions, LLC. A registered investment advisor. Herman Financial and Triad Advisors, LLC are not affiliated. Call Herman Financial today at 302-424-1748. That's 302-424-1748. Herman Financial Services.
After all your hard work with the raking, pruning, and cutting down to fix up your yard, Stokely Materials is here to help you get rid of your debris. Hi, this is John Dorman, GM of Stokely Materials. Let us take the rest off your hands. Bring your yard waste to any of our processing centers and we'll safely dispose of yard waste, leaves, stumps, logs, and trees. We also recycle concrete debris in Georgetown. Save with Stokely by saving time. Visit either location in Georgetown on 113 or 32416 Lewis Georgetown Highway, just west of Five Points.
Your national, state, and local election station is 92.7 WGMD, Rehoboth Beach, Del Mar, Berlin, the talk of Delmarva.
All right, 10 o'clock across Delmarva. You're listening to 2020 general, state, and local election coverage right here from 92.7 WGMD, WGMD.com, and the WGMD app. And we're live streaming this at WGMD.com and our Facebook page at Facebook.com/WGMD927. For the purposes of time, I'm not going to go through all that we're covering tonight, but as you can imagine, national election going on, Delaware and Maryland as well have elections going on, constitutional amendments, etc. And I want to send it out to WGMD's Jake Smith, host of Delmarva Live, as we take a look at the national race. And Jake, what can you tell us from the last time we've spoken about 15 minutes ago?
Mike, President Trump has been called the winner of South Carolina, and Lindsey Graham has been reelected. The chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee is heading back to the Senate in January.
And he was worried for a while.
Yes, he
you
was.
Remember all the interviews he was doing talking about, hey, please
send
contribute.
me money.
Yeah, send me money.
Send me money.
Because the Democrats were spending heavily in his district. So that's big. I don't think there was a question about the president winning South Carolina, but that Senate race, at least for a while, up until maybe 2 weeks ago, was possibly a bit iffy.
Correct. And that, well, as all's well that ends well. But South Carolina goes to President Trump, Lindsey Graham going back to the Senate.
Now, Ohio, according to Fox News, is shaded red now. It was blue before, so that's trending in the right direction. It looks like the president has about 100,000 vote advantage over Joe Biden there. I'm not sure how many precincts are finished reported. 75% in Ohio right now. So there's still 25% to go. And, yes, he's got about a 130,000 vote advantage there.
Well, Ohio is a very important state. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the president.
It's as the presidency goes, usually Ohio goes, right?
Well, that's what they tell us, Mike.
Most times. Now, Pennsylvania is shaded red at the moment with the president with a 23,000 vote lead, but just 25% reporting in. So a long way to go there in that election. But Jake, you and I have both talked about this. It just is hard for me to believe that with the policies being put forward, the policy ideas by the Biden-Harris ticket, that Pennsylvania would vote against their own jobs. And if it does come to fruition that the black vote for President Trump is anywhere, even if it's 10%, but let's say it's the 15%, 20% coming out of Philadelphia, we know that the Pittsburgh area, that it's a blue-collar Democrat union workers is going to Trump. Then that state will go for Trump. And I don't want to be overconfident, but I feel confident he is going to win that state.
Mike, I was confident until this evening. The thing that I can't understand is the oil business to Pennsylvania is such an important part of their economy right now. And quite frankly, the fracking and the oil business in Pennsylvania is something that Joe Biden has committed to getting rid of. And Kamala the commie just the other day said, we're done with oil. We're finished with it. So people generally vote with their wallets, the future of the economic future of their families. Mm-hmm. I'd be shocked if Joe Biden won Pennsylvania, but I'm kind of surprised that the state is actually in play this evening.
Well, but no one said that he was going to run away with that state, though.
That is true, Mike.
And there's still 75% left to be counted as well.
Mike, I'm not sure what you're seeing on your monitor right now. Protesters have stormed an area near the White House. I know that Rob Arlett is in that general vicinity.
Yes,
and maybe he'll be calling in soon with a report.
He had a couple of media hits, and he was going to let me know when he was going to be available. And I'm actually going to text him right now concerning him touching base with us. Now, a state that at the moment is shading blue with 60% in is Arizona. And we had been hearing in the last week or so that Arizona was very much in play for the president. Again, it depends, obviously, where this final 40% is coming from. But that was a state that seemed to be in play for the president, and that Senate race got a lot tighter from where it was.
Based on what I've heard this evening, we're probably not going to know about Arizona till sometime tomorrow.
Okay.
And you've got a very strong Trump-supporting governor there, and obviously border security, a big issue. I'd be very surprised if President Trump did not win Arizona. But the question is, what happens with Martha McSally, the McSally
against
Kelly race?
Mark Kelly? That's
Mark Kelly and
right.
McSally, right?
That's absolutely right. So we're looking at that now. Fox has North Carolina shaded blue at the moment, but that's a virtual tie, though. Biden's slightly leading.
49, right?
49.4, right now. Biden, technically speaking, has about 3,000 more votes at the moment with 87% in, but that's going to possibly come down to the wire, which we thought was going to be tight, but we thought that President Trump would win that state as well, and maybe by a little less than a margin than we expected. But
the thing that bothers me about North Carolina, a lot of liberal Northerners have moved to North Carolina, so I wasn't quite sure that the president would have a strong showing in North Carolina, and that was my concern. And I think that is actually the issue tonight, is that there are far more Democrats who will vote Democrat and will not cross over and vote for President Trump in North Carolina, and that did not. The situation in North Carolina does not surprise me. The situation in Pennsylvania surprises me tonight.
And well, again, a long way to go with Pennsylvania, so I'm not ready to make any claims there yet concerning thoughts. But Minnesota, other than I feel confident in it, I'm not negative. Minnesota is shading blue right now, and only 33% in at the moment, though Joe Biden with a pretty substantial lead there in that state, which, again, we knew was an uphill battle, but the president has made some plays there. So at least at one point, that state was in play.
Mike, I told you Minnesota is a very strange state. Many independents, they vote. Well, as I told you this morning, that Jesse Ventura became the governor of Minnesota. You've had other very strange elections in Minnesota. The pillow guy guaranteed President Trump was going to win. So what do we do if President Trump loses? Do we take it out on the My Pillow guy?
I don't think we'll be doing that. Mike Lindell, that'll just bring him more money because you'll have to pay for another pillow once you've ruined the one that you have. All right, Jake, we'll keep us up to date. We appreciate it on the national scene right now. And Jake also had made mention of the Newsmax report, and I did see on the TV as well, concerning some storming going on near the White House out in the streets. And that's another part of this election that is sad, that we're starting to see this become the norm. We saw this 4 years ago. We've certainly seen this pop up with racial unrest and issues with cops and the black community. We've seen this as well in some other areas where things haven't gone the way the left has wanted it, parts of the left, and they've resorted to rioting and looting. All right, 10:08 is the time. Let's bring in WGMD's John Brady as we go back to the bulk of the state and local elections taking place in Delaware tonight. 2 years ago, it was in Maryland. And, John, what more can you tell us as we continue to break down, gubernatorial, lieutenant governor, we've got county council races, et cetera? And, John,
Thanks, Mike.
Yes.
What I want to tell you, you may want to play that. I'm ready to make a couple calls and races.
Okay, well, let's do it. John, go ahead, sir.
In the 36th State Representative District, with 10 out of 11 election districts in, Brian Shoup has successfully retained his seat by a total of 63% to 36%. A hard-fought race between him and Greg Fuller, but Greg Fuller pulls up a little short. At the moment, with one district outstanding at 6,330 votes to 3,641. And if we can now go to the 35th district.
Sure.
In the 35th district, with only one election district out of the 7, State Representative Jesse Vanderwen is going back to Dover, reelected with 68% of the vote against his opponent, Darren Harris, who received 2,974 votes. Now we're going to go look at County Council District number 1. And we have in that district with, as I looked, one election district out in the 4th district. Mike Vincent is returning to County Council with 63% of the vote against Hunter Hastings' 36% of the vote.
And just going back, no surprises in those downstate representative races to me. Certainly expected Vanderwyn and Shoup to win those. And in District 1, Mike Vincent, I expected him to win re-election. I'll say this, though, John. I had Hunter Hastings on the other day, and to me, he sounded pretty conservative in a lot of his views. He is a Democrat, but he sounded very much like a conservative Republican to me on a lot of the issues that we touched upon, and we didn't get a chance to touch upon everything. But you know this: if you're going to run as a Democrat in Sussex County, you've got to run as a moderate to conservative anyway if you have any chance of winning.
Absolutely, and if when I talked to Hunter, Hunter reminded me he was the president of the Young Republicans for a number of years. So I do think he has a conservative background in there and was trying to bring his approach to county government. The first time Mike Vincent ran, he ran against Dale Dukes, who was the county council president, and Mike came up a little short that time. 4 years later, Dale Dukes retired in 2008, and Mike won that race and has held that race for now 12 years. And is being returned to Georgetown for another 4 years.
Now, I know that the agreement between the county and DelDOT with the MOU and the TID, I understand that mostly affects District 3, at least to start out, although there could be another TID soon in District 5 in John Riley's district. But that piece of news concerning, hey, look, we've got an agreement here. We're going to do a better job at working with the state and vice versa on improving roads or building new roads and keeping up with development. That news breaking just a week before the election, that certainly didn't hurt.
That's correct. And we now have final vote totals for Mark Schaefer. He has received 11,661 votes, and I'm trying to figure out the undervote in that race, and I'm going to have to go old school. I'm going to have to pull up some districts and look at it and write it out by paper. So give me a few minutes on that one.
Yeah, hey, John, just quickly. Well, I guess I could shift gears to Mark Fowser on that. So yeah, let me have you do that, and I appreciate it. Mary Lou, let me bring you in here for a second. It's been a little while since we've talked to you. Now, we made mention that the results, and let me get an update here, but the U.S. House race in Maryland between Andy Harris and Mia Mason, now 24% of the vote in, a sizable margin for Congressman Harris, leading almost 69% to 31%. But we also had a couple of other races going on. I know there's a Board of Education race, or actually a couple going on in Worcester, and then Wycomico County has a District 2 council race.
And the last time that for the Maryland site, the last time that they updated was at 9:55, and that literally is only showing up for the Wycomico and the Worcester County, for the local races. I'm getting absolutely no numbers for the presidential race or any of the congressional races.
Interesting. Now, I'm getting my numbers from the Baltimore Sun, so I don't know where they're getting their numbers from. and the Sun, is a pretty reliable source, obviously.
Well,
we're not talking about a third-party site here.
Even what's on the state site right now is only showing early voting and mail-in. Election day, zero. Provisional, zero.
Interesting. All right.
But they do have, even with just those for District 2 in the Wycomico County Council, Nicole Ackle is leading Alexander Scott by a very slim margin.
Okay, and Ackle is the incumbent Republican.
She is the incumbent, yes.
Yeah, and Scott is the Democrat challenger in that one there. Okay. Also taking a look at ballot questions, legislature budget power. This would give the legislature more control of the budget because in Maryland, the governor sets the budget. The legislature can cut from the budget. They can't add to it, though. And the thing is, though, already 84 to 86 cents of every dollar is already spent with mandated spending and formulas that increase that spending every year anyway. But this would give them more power. Now, they would still have to maintain a balanced budget. But right now, 78.9% for, only 21.1% against. And not surprising, in a blue state, they want to give their blue legislatures even more power. There's no numbers here from the Baltimore Sun concerning sports betting, which was that second ballot question, Mary Lewis. We'll stay on top of that. Okay, well, thank you for that. Also in Ocean City tonight, again, Rick Meehan running unopposed, 1,146 votes for him. City Council, John Garrigan, Tony DeLuca running for re-election. They both have won re-election. Frank Knight, who was a newcomer to the city council in terms of running, although he's held other civic positions. He also now is on the city council. He takes the place essentially of his wife, Mary, who decided not to run for re-election. Dennis Dare, who had been with the town for years as an engineer, town manager, and then councilman, also not running for re-election. And Peter Buas, who is a very young lawyer in town, 29 or 30 years of age. We had him on the program. He was the top vote getter at 1,137. So it's Buas, DeLuca, Garrigan, Knight who fill those 4 council seats. And Rick Meehan will be back, of course, as mayor, and they'll have a reorganization, I believe, on Thursday. And who will be council president? That'll be interesting as well. So that's on the Maryland side of things as best as we can. Let's bring in Mark Fowser here from our Newcastle newsroom. At 10:16 the time on Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD, WGMD.com, and the WGMD app. And don't forget, we're live streaming this at WGMD.com and on our Facebook page. Mark, upstate Delaware House and Senate races. The last we talked, things were not looking good for the Republicans, but we've had more districts report since then. But what can you tell us in terms of what you're seeing?
Well, Mike, we have 368 of 439 of the Delaware's districts reporting so far. And we start with the House this time. A couple of open seats in the House. District 7, where the Democrat Larry Lambert is leading James Halbrook, the Republican, by a comfortable margin, 69.6% to 28.94%, just under 29% for the Republican candidate in Representative District 7. In the 8th District, the Democrat also holding a lead there. That is Sheree Raymore, leading Daniel Satofsky, the Republican, 58.5% to 41.5%. And District 9, it looks like Kevin Hensley, the incumbent Republican, has pulled ahead rather comfortably, at least for the time being, over Debbie Harrington, the Democrat, with 55% to 44%. Hensley leading in House District 9. Elsewhere, as we heard, called by John Brady, Brian Shoup winning in District 36, re-election, as did Republican Jesse Vanderwende in District number 35. So looking at the Senate upstate as well, a couple of races very closely watched this evening, where Republicans are being contested for re-election quite vociferously, we'll say. First of all, in Senate District 5, it's Kyle Evans-Gay leading Kathy Cloutier, the incumbent Republican. Kyle Evans-Gay, the Democratic progressive candidate, with 55% to 44% for Cloutier. So Cloutier has some ground to make up for if she wants to retain the office that she has held for 20 years in Dover. In State Senate District 7, Spiros Mansavinas, the Democrat, over the incumbent Anthony Del Colo, the Republican incumbent. Mansavinas with 51.5% to 48% for Del Colo in that district. Looks like Jack Walsh has a comfortable lead over his Republican challenger, Todd Ruckel, in State Senate District 9. As well this evening, Marie Pinckney in District 13. Marie Pinckney, the winner of the Democratic primary, defeating David McBride. She is leading Alexander Homick, the Republican, 75% to 24%. So it looks like Pinckney retains that seat in Democratic hands as well.
Well, I tell you, and the interesting thing here is that the progressives, they're not only leading, but they're leading substantially. I would have thought, if anything, at least with those races, that the margin would have been a lot closer because, again, maybe Delaware, which had been a blue conservative state coming in, wouldn't be quite ready for that, or at least it would be difficult to win those races. And we're seeing, though, the margin's pretty substantial now. Whether that has a lot to do with Joe Biden on the ballot or not, we'd have to think that maybe some of that certainly contributed to that. That certainly helps the Democrats out in terms of voter turnout. But as much of that could be an anti-Trump vote in terms of the numbers there, and Democrats either way make out in a positive way. But right now, it's certainly not looking good statewide for the Republicans in the state House and Senate. And if they were to lose not one, but possibly 2 Senate seats there, I mean, that just makes things worse, although all the Democrats need is 1.
Yeah, that changes the whole dynamic in Dover if they were able to retain these, even two Senate seats, especially here. And the progressive they have found it seems some crossover appeal, cross the aisle appeal among Republicans. But then again, they also showed that in the primary stages as well, as they won their, to get this far to begin with. So yes, these progressive candidates are certainly making some waves in the election. It appears like more than a few of them will be making some waves as elected officials in Dover.
Well, and that will affect within the party the power structure there and the agenda for next year.
Right, and if Governor Carney goes on to re-election, will they hold him accountable to some things that didn't get done?
Well, that's
that
right.
They would like to see get done. Things like minimum wage increase, things like legalized recreational use of marijuana, that sort of a thing.
More gun control.
Yep, things like that will certainly come up, and the pressure will be on him and other whoever the new leaders of the Senate are, and we would think House Speaker Pete Schwarzkopf would be chosen for that position again, but then again, that still remains to be done. Will there be more pressure to push these things over the hurdle rather than have them, for example, the way some of the assault weapons measures so-called assault weapons were dealt with, kind of bottled up in committee rather than getting a full floor vote that one time? Then there would have been a vote on that likely this year if not for COVID.
Yeah. Now, all good points there, Mark. And as you take a look right now, Governor Carney with a 60.2% percentage to Julianne Murray's 37.89%. And the machine votes now, Carney with a 7,000 vote lead there. And obviously absentee ballots or absentee votes we're seeing, which include mail-ins, a sizable advantage there between the two. And again, if there was a year for the Republicans to seize power of the governor's house, it would be this year. So you take a look at that and say, boy, what will it take for a Republican to take the governor's house at some point, which hasn't been the case since, the early 90s. The lieutenant governor's race as well is a bit tighter there, but still a sizable enough margin for Bethany Hall Long, the Democratic incumbent, over Republican challenger Danielle Hall. Insurance commissioner race, the same situation there. So as you take a look in Delaware, it's a blue state that apparently is going further blue, Mark. So.
Yeah, and you know what we're going to miss about Return Day in Georgetown this year is blankety blank in 2024. Who's going to be running for governor and that sort of a thing. You start seeing buttons sometimes already. We would have seen, for example, a Bethany Hall Long for governor button 2024 on Thursday. Had there been a Return Day parade, but we won't be seeing that. But there's speculation already about that in 4 years.
All right, Mark, thank you so much. We need to take a timeout. When we come back, Rob Arlett is going to join us, chairman of the Delaware Trump campaign. We'll bring back in Jake Smith. The AP reporting that Tommy Tuberville, the former head coach of the Auburn football team, Cincinnati as well, he's defeated Senator Jones in Alabama, so he's flipped that seat for the Republicans in Alabama, defeating Senator Doug Jones, which had been considered the Senate's most endangered Democrat. Jones, that is. All right, 10:23. We're back next on Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD.
I'm WGMD Chief Meteorologist John Weatherby with your WGMD TrueCast weather. Tonight, mostly clear, west winds 5 to 10, diminishing late, low 48. Tomorrow, sunshine, south wind 5 to 10, high of 63, 54 tomorrow night. Thursday, mostly sunny, high of 67, 56 Thursday night. Friday, mostly sunny, 68. Saturday, patchy fog early, then sunshine, 67. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 67. Monday, mostly sunny, high of 68.
Did you know Chagrin Gas does more than just deliver propane? Hi, this is Mark Fry of Chagrin Gas. Chagrin Gas has been helping families in Delaware and Maryland for their water conditioning needs since 1963. Whether your home is on city water or well water, Chagrin Gas and Hague Quality Water has a water conditioning system for you. Hague conditioning systems can help eliminate iron, hardness, nitrates, chlorine, and much more. What are you waiting for? Give us a call at 302-644-7700 and start cleaning up your water today with a Hague Quality Water system from Chagrin Gas.
Relax. Jacuzzi. 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 Jacuzzi Hot Tubs of Delaware. Lewis and Millville. 302-537-5525. You can still enjoy holiday elegance this season at 1776 Steakhouse in Rehoboth. Now is a good time to plan your holiday dinner party and make your reservation. Gift cards are available for purchase to give to your someone special. Purchase a gift card or make a reservation online or by phone. Visit 1776steakhouse.com or call 302-645-9355. Savor the 1776 Steakhouse experience.
Delmarva Law Enforcement Supply is Sussex County's leading firearms dealer, serving everyone and trusted by local law enforcement. They now offer USCCA membership, which is a liability insurance policy. Join today for peace of mind and free bonus gifts. With the broadest inventory selection on Delmarva, you gotta visit Delmarva Law Enforcement Supply on Iron Branch Road in Dagsboro. Just look for the banner that says guns.
Ah, autumn. Cooler temperatures, beautiful colors, and the leaves. This is Keith Pettit with Southern States in Milford, and if leaves are a problem on your property, we have the tools to make your job easy. With handheld and backpack blowers from Echo and Steel, and if the job is too large for handheld blowers, we have Billy Goat brand commercial, walk-behind blowers, leaf vacs, and truck loaders. For the best brands of leaf removal equipment from Echo, Steel, and Billy Goat, stop by Southern States in Milford today.
All right, 1026 on Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD, WGMD.com, and the WGMD app. We're live streaming at WGMD.com and at Facebook.com/WGMD 927. Julie and Mark hard at work in our sales room, which has been converted into a video production studio. So, guys and gals, thank you in there for doing the job that you're doing and putting up graphics and names and results, etc. We really do appreciate it. Jake Smith, host of Delmarva Live, is joining us once again, but also joining us is the Delaware chairman of the Trump campaign, Rob Arlett. And Rob, I was just watching some of Fox during the commercial break, and they talked about China's dollar dropping value-wise because what they're reading in terms of the tea leaves is that the tariffs will hold and that President Trump, at least in their opinion, things are trending that he will win re-election. I found that to be interesting from an overseas perspective.
Yeah, I think so far as the night has progressed here at Ground Zero here in Washington, and currently right now I sit on top of the AFL-CIO building at Black Lives Matters Square, literally. Wow. And so I did a little video, posted it on Facebook Live earlier on my Facebook page. But we are literally atop of the Black Lives Matter building in Black Lives Matter Square, doing some live media hits for the international audience. And I still got 2 more to do throughout the night. But I think what we're seeing as the night has progressed is that there's no surprise through my lens. I think, again, as the night has progressed, President Trump has gotten tighter in certain states and also has actually increased his lead, for example, that in Florida, in Michigan, in Ohio. And again, I'm very, very optimistic, as I've said earlier on your earlier show, that I'm very, very confident that President Trump certainly is going to be reelected. The question is, and we've got a couple wagers going with a couple folks, is what time and when is President Trump going to announce himself as the winner? That's the question that I've been asking. And so we shall see as the night progresses. I have predicted, I have guessed. I'm not a big betting man, but I have said I expect it to occur before 1 a.m. That's my prediction on your show. We'll see.
All right. Jake, sir, what do you have for us?
Mike, there's no new results that have come in. I've been actually looking at the Delaware state results. And one of the things that is pretty obvious, the Socialist Democrats knew what they were doing when pushing this mail-in voting in Delaware. Take a look at the differences. If you take a look at the congressional race between Lisa Blunt Rochester and Lee Murphy, Lee Murphy and Lisa Blunt Rochester actually almost equaled each other's votes at the voting machines. It was the absentee ballots in all the races. Look at John Carney to Julianne Murray. John Carney, 124,000 write-in votes to Julianne Murray's 29,000. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew that they were going to use this opportunity to push this write-in voting, and they were going to take advantage of it, and they did. Obviously, the Republicans cannot take advantage. The Republicans did well. people showed up and voted Republican. You can take a look at the machine totals, but the absentee votes is really the difference in this election, Mike. There's no question.
No, you're absolutely right about that. And Delaware, we'll put them aside for a second because as we're talking with Rob about the national scene, though, Jake, as I go back over some of the states that we talked about just a few minutes ago, the Ohio margin is widening for the president there, Rob, as you may mention, Pennsylvania as well, Michigan at the moment. And again, some of these cases we're seeing 35% in Wisconsin now also at the moment, trending toward President Trump, Florida as well. So just in the last 20 to 35 minutes, things are really trending forward for Trump. And if he should hold on to all of those states we're looking at, you're right. We will be calling this before 1 a.m. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but things are trending in the right direction right now.
But isn't it fun to talk about it? I mean, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's better than losing, Rob.
Yeah.
Well, all of us political junkies, it's so fun. But I also have to share with you all and your listeners is as we were walking up to do the last media hit, as we call it, atop of the building here, at the top of the current hour, as we were walking upstairs, there was a helicopter hovering. There was a massive crowd, hundreds of people, and there was a lot of commotion and a police presence. I think down on the ground here, right below me here on the building, and I mentioned this to my counterpart on the air that I believe that the feeling of the people here at Ground Zero is getting a sense that it's not going to necessarily go the way they were hoping for. And I think, again, as the night progresses, we are praying for peace. We need peace. However, there's always folks out there that think otherwise. And, again, I think that I'm paying attention to what's happening down on the ground, and we can certainly continue to report that back at home. But I think in the end, I believe that as the night progresses, President Trump will continue to increase his lead. And the question is, where are the Democrats going to manufacture these votes? That's the question, because they're not winning. Apparently, as of now, they're not getting the lead that they need to win back some of the states that Trump did back in 2016.
Yeah,
Rob, can I just ask you a question? The president is going to, if the president is in fact reelected, he is going to have to make some major changes to his administration. He needs to fire the FBI director. He needs to fire the CIA director. He needs to fire Fauci. You heard the crowds. I think the American people want Fauci out. You can't have someone like him going on 60 Minutes, endorsing Joe Biden for president, those kinds of things. How long do you think it's going to take President Trump to start putting out the word of who is going to be jettisoned from the administration come January?
Well, I think he's already started, right? I think.
He's kind of slid, but clearly he's going to come out and he's going to put the hammer down, don't you think? And because he doesn't have to worry about re-election, he doesn't have to worry about someone, some deep stater telling the president, "Oh, don't do that." Now Donald Trump is going to be Donald Trump unplugged. What do you think he's going to do first?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and I think he's going to focus on putting back in place. And I think, again, President Trump is such an intelligent individual because he's so wise. And he sometimes, as we all know, as the saying goes, right, you keep your friends close, yet you keep your enemies, closer? Right? So I think he has done this with intent and with a strategy, i.e. Fauci. Why did he do this? Because it's all about exposing the Democrats and their craziness. That's what he has done, and I think the American people, especially your audience, has figured that out. And that's what I love about him, because he's playing chess while the Democrats are playing checkers. And I think that he is so very wise and so very strategic in what he does. It's going to happen, especially. I will tell you both that if we remain and keep control of the White House and the Senate, and if we take back that House and Congress, look out.
Well, we're not going to. The House is lost. I mean, the Socialist Democrats are keeping the House. They picked up, I think, 5 or 6 additional seats. Rob, that's the Senate. The Senate will probably stay in Republican hands. Obviously, that's good. But there's no question that the Democrats are going to continue to harass President Trump from the House. The question is, how will the American people feel? Mike, you said they're not going to take it, but I don't think they really care. They've wasted, $50 million of our tax dollars already. I don't think they really care.
No, I said at some point there's going to become a burn factor where they're going to have to look to the future because President Trump won't be there forever in Washington. And at some point, I think even within their own party, people are going to start to say, look, enough's enough. We've got to take a look at 22 and 24, especially with the presidential election.
Right.
So, yes, I think you'll see some of that harassment, but I think eventually it's got to fade because they can't do this forever. They've got, they've got future elections to think about.
They got to govern. They have to govern, right? I mean,
well, they don't have to. They didn't for the last 4 years. They didn't govern. Well, they just did the.
Yeah,
they just
in
played
4
the
years,
resistance. That's all they did.
But in 2 years and 4 years, there'll be open seats in some cases, and they're going to have to at some point start to get to something of substance. But Rob, I wanted to ask you though. We do know about the House going the way of the Democrats, which we expected. We don't like to see them gaining seats there from a conservative standpoint. But do you believe the Republicans will retain the Senate? We know that they did pick up a seat in Alabama tonight with Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah, and it looks like also Colorado is going to go to the Democrats. I believe. I think last I was looking, maybe about.
Well, no, Tuberville's a Republican. I said the Republicans picked up one in Alabama.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think our Republican is going to lose in Colorado.
Okay, so that would negate itself. Okay, gotcha.
That could be negating itself. So
Okay.
I do believe that we are going to retain control of the Senate. And again, I just as we move forward, and again, President Trump wins. Think about this. Every single day, the Democrats have been going after him and the administration. Now, think about that. For 4 years, for God's sake, they've been doing this.
Yeah.
The man has been under so much scrutiny, so much chaos, right, because of the Democrats. He's gotten impeached by the Congress, right? Through all of that, and if indeed he it looks like he's on a very good pathway here, getting reelected. If indeed that comes to fruition, think about that. He's going to go ballistic, and he is just going to continue to have fun with these folks. And again, now what's going to happen? I think, Mike, to your point, 2 years, 4 years from now, that's the question. How do you move forward, and how do the Democrats move forward? Because again, I think the Democrats, if if he loses. The left, the crazy left, the far left is going to go very ballistic. And I think they're going to want control because their quote-unquote moderate candidate, i.e. Joe Biden, lost, right? So they're going to go ballistic. They're going to have the identity crisis coming, in the next 2 to 4 years. The AOC plus 3 squad, they are going to demand more relevance and demand more control of that party and at the Congress. I think it's going to be very interesting. And again, the Democrats have got some real big issues in the end when Trump gets reelected, and the Republicans retain the Senate. So it's going to be interesting to see how that continues to progress. But I think again, we Patriots need to continue to battle. We need to continue to have a positive voice, and WGMD, Jake. We all just continue to do our part of the process, and we got to keep chipping away, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what we have to do? We just have to keep chipping away.
Rob, a quick question for you from listener Bob, and he asked a good question. This is the statewide level. Unfortunately, you're seeing upstate in Delaware, you're seeing the progressive Democrats not only have the lead, but a sizable lead in their races. And the question is, why is that the case? And what do Republicans have to do in the state of Delaware? Why are progressives now, not just Democrats, but now progressive leftists, it appears, that are going to be winning legislative seats and representing part of the state in Dover?
Well, again, I think in the end, the Democrats rallied and support their own. We all know that the established Democrats, I think if I recall, there was 4 of them that lost their primary seats to these far-left progressives, right, in Delaware in the House. And I think it looks like obviously those 4 individuals are going to continue on and perhaps win if they've been already not been declared in Delaware. Again, we just need to be people of courage. We need to continue to motivate and learn how to communicate. I think ultimately, and stand up and be strong and be bold. That's how President Trump won, and we need that in Delaware. Delaware, I'm telling you, and we'll do this on another time on your radio show. But I have been a victim, I should say, and the Trump campaign have been victim. We have done so much under the radar. We've done the FOIA requests. We've done so many different things that the Democrat machine, that Washington now laughs. They laughed. I did a FOIA request, you guys, probably 2 months ago with regard to some things about Biden and some other people that we wanted to get some data on, and they kept dragging it out. They kept dragging it out. Do you know when I got the information? Would you like to know when I finally got the information that I requested 2 months ago? And by the way, Delaware law states they've got 15 days, right? However, with a state of emergency, they didn't have to do it right away, right? So I got the information we requested 2 months ago last night, the night before the election. Isn't that laughable? They finally gave it to me the night before the election. They know exactly what they're doing, and when enough of us stand up and be bold and don't take it is when we can start to wake up Delawareans for this crap, if you would, in this collusion and corruption. We have got to demand better of the elected officials, but we can't sit back and do nothing. Because people who don't stand for something will fall for anything, and unfortunately, that's what we've become in Delaware in many cases.
All right, Rob, we are out of time, but thank you so much for your time right now. Hopefully we can bring you back before the night is out, but we do have to call a timeout at least at this point. So.
You got it. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. That's Rob Arlett, chair of the Trump campaign for the first state. 10:40 is the time. I know I need to play catch-up here, but we've got some results, so I want to head on over to the WGMD news studio, B and John Brady. John, you're ready to call some races, I think, more so upstate. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mike. I'm ready to call, and Mark, I'm going to have you jump in and help me with these. In the Senate race, it looks like the state Senate will have 2 less Republicans. Kyle Evans-Gay has upset Kathy Cloutier, and Spiros, someone help me with that name, Mantavas.
How about Spiros Mantzavinos?
There you go.
Mantzavinos, thank you.
You got it.
Has defeated Anthony Del Colo. Both of them are pretty close. I've got all the results in now. We're at 425 of 439. The one district that's out does not have the difference needed for Mr. Del Colo to come back. That one's going to end up very close. That's only about 500 votes apart now, and I see that one. The district that's out does not look like it has 500 votes to change it for Mr. Del Colo. Senator Cloutier has served in the House and the Senate for almost 20 years since the death of her husband, Representative Phil Cloutier, who used to be Newcastle County Council President. But it looks like by 1,100 votes, Miss Gay, a lawyer in Wilmington, has defeated her. In the other state Senate districts we were looking at, Marie Pinckney, who defeated President Pro Tem Dave McBride, has won that seat in the 13th by 76 to 23%. Senator Bruce Ennis retains his seat over Craig Pugh, 59% to 40%. Dave Lawson, a former state trooper and who's been a state senator for 10 years, retains in Dover the Kent County Senate District number 15 seat by 14,524 to 11,672, or a percentage of 55 to 44. And in the state House, the Republicans, we talked about Larry Lambert, who was one of the ones that Rob Arlett just talked about, who knocked out a more conservative Democrat, has won district number 7. That's the Claymont along the Delaware River district. Sharia Moore has won the Middletown district over Daniel Zatofsky, 57 to 42. Kevin Hensley has retained his seat, 54 to 45. Krista Griffith, who was elected 2 years ago, upsetting then State Representative Debbie Hudson, has defeated Jeff Craig, 60 to 39. Valerie Longhurst, who's the majority leader for the Democrats, has defeated Michael Higgin, 67 to 30. And going on down, Mike Ramone, a Republican, retains his seat in the Pike Creek area, 52 to 47. It's a difference of 674 votes, and that was one of those ones that was on a hit list that the Democrats were trying to take out Mr. Ramone, and also in the neighboring seat, the 22nd, Mr. Smith. But Mr. Michael Smith retains his seat 63% to 36%. In the other contested races, Ed Osienski retains his seat in State Rep 24, 71 to 28%. And in a newly seated representative, she knocked off the whip of the House, Medina Wilson Anton defeats Timothy Conrad 72 to 27. The progressive candidate Eric Morrison has defeated Tripp Keister from the Republicans and William Hines from the Libertarian 61% to 36% to 1%. State Representative Bill Bush has retained his seat in the Dover area 55 to 44. Shannon Morris, who's in the area by Harrington, he's on his second term now, has defeated retired State Trooper Chuck Gross. Sean Lynn, another leader of the Progressive Democrats from Dover West, has defeated Richard Harpster 69 to 30. And Andrea Bennett keeps her seat 62 to 37 over Cheryl Precourt. Charlie Postles, who was elected in the last election, has retained his seat, Republican, in the southern Kent County area leading up to Milford, 58 to 41. And Lyndon Yerrick over in the area by Camden, Wyoming, keeps his seat over Ade Kufarari, 57 to 42.
All right, John, we appreciate that. Clearly, the Republicans taking a bloodbath tonight, especially the upstate races, and you've not only got Democrat control, a supermajority control in the Senate, but now you also have a number of progressives representing the Democrats in Dover. And there's a lot to get into with that later on tonight, but I do need to take a time out as we continue on. So, John, thank you. Mark, thank you as well. We are Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD, and election night sponsors include our friends Dave Jones at Atlantic Refrigeration and Air Conditioning, serving Delaware and Maryland, online at AtlanticRefrigeration.com. Care Plus Pharmacy in Seaford, Southern States Milford, and American Responder Services in Rehoboth. We've got some updates on the national election. We'll get to that. We'll bring back in Jake Smith next. WGMD weather is brought to you by Pep Up. Step up in quality, step up in service. Step up to Pep Up this heating season with Peptane Propane. Call today, 302-856-2555.
I'm WGMD Chief Meteorologist John Weatherby with your WGMD TrueCast Marine Weather Report. Coastal waters, variable winds 5 knots or less, seas 1 to 2 feet. Wednesday, south winds 7 to 10 knots, seas at 2 feet. Ocean water temperature now 55 degrees. Delaware Bay west-northwest winds becoming southerly after midnight, seas at 1 to 2 feet. And Wednesday, south winds 5 to 8 knots becoming 7 to 10 knots later, seas around 2 feet.
How would you like the chance to win a truckload of DeWalt tools, plus the truck they came in? Yeah, we thought so. Don't miss Lowe's Provember event. Now through November 25th, you could win a set of 18 DeWalt tools worth over $3,000. And the truck? A 2021 Chevy Silverado. Enter for your chance to win at lowesforpros.com/Provember. Lowe's, the new home for pros. No purchase necessary. Starts 10/28, ends 11/25. LFP membership required. U.S. only. Entry rules on lowesforpros.com/Provember.
Everyone's got a lot to worry about these days. That's why Maryland Health Connection thinks you deserve the peace of mind that comes with having a health plan. And with our lowest rates in years, it's more affordable than you might think to get a plan that covers doctor visits, COVID-19 care, and more. Plus, 9 in 10 people who enroll get financial help. Enroll at MarylandHealthConnection.gov to get the health insurance you need and the peace of mind you deserve. That's MarylandHealthConnection.gov.
Shopping without a budget is dangerous. Before you start shopping for a home, call me, Jim Fritz of All American Mortgage, to talk about your home buying budget. Together, we'll consider your moving costs, insurance costs, and ideal lifestyle. Any 800 number can give you a pre-approval. All American Mortgage wants you to live the American dream with a manageable mortgage. It's more than just numbers. Call me, Jim Fritz of All American Mortgage, for a real consultation today. 302-934-8787.
From all of us here at Captain's Pizzeria and Restaurant, we would like to thank our loyal customers and friends, and we are still open every day, working hard to make sure our customers and staff stay happy and healthy, offering a family-friendly, cleanly atmosphere with spacious, ample seating for distance comfort. We open at 11 a.m. every day, offering dine-in, takeout, and delivery. Call us about our daily specials. Beer and wine are now available as well. That's Captain's Pizzeria and Restaurant in Long Neck, 302-945-2222.
The days are getting shorter and the nights cooler, which can only mean one thing. It's time to call us at Baker Petroleum to set up your propane or heating oil deliveries for the upcoming winter. Time flies and the busy holiday season will be here before you know it. Don't delay and call our friendly staff today. Making the switch has never been easier. Serving all of Southern Delaware, feel the warmth of savings with Baker Petroleum at 302-684-8569. That's 302-684-8569.
Bed bugs are a major problem around the world, and those little bugs could leave you itching with bite marks. They can hitchhike into your home in various sources and harbor in all types of cracks, crevices, and furniture, affecting your comfort and health. Locally owned and family-operated Accurate Pest Control has a full staff of state-certified technicians who specialize in locating and exterminating bed bugs. Get a restful night's sleep. Call Accurate Pest Control today at 302-875-2725 or on the web Accurate.pro.
I'm WGMD Chief Meteorologist John Weatherby with your WGMD TrueCast weather. Tonight, mostly clear, west winds 5 to 10, diminishing late, low 48. Tomorrow, sunshine, south wind 5 to 10, high of 63, 54 tomorrow night. Thursday, mostly sunny, high of 67, 56 Thursday night. Friday, mostly sunny, 68. Saturday, patchy fog early, then sunshine, 67. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 67. Monday, mostly sunny, high of 68.
All right, 10:51 is the time on Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD. And we bring in Jake Smith, host of Delmarva Live, as we continue now to take a look at the national map. And Jake, things are certainly at the moment trending well for the president. Now, in Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, there's still a fair amount of reporting yet to come in. It's interesting. Our WGMD's Wayne Cannon had posted that Fox News a while ago had said Virginia is for Joe Biden.
Right.
Then CBS said it's too close to call. Now, Northern Virginia results, according to Mark Giuliani, who is part of our ownership group here at WGMD, said those results usually come in last. As we know, those are made up of a lot of government workers. But still, CBS knows that, but they're saying too close to call. Now, maybe they just feel too burned from 4 years ago, but I found that to be interesting.
Mike, I'm looking at Virginia right now with 13 electoral votes at stake. Right now, Joe Biden was, as you know, picked to be the winner. That he's picked based on exit polling, not the numbers, but exit polling based on some of the bigger districts. Now, right now, President Trump has 52.2% of the vote. Biden has 46% of the vote. And again, based on exit polling, Fox News called that very early on, within the first few minutes of the polls closing in Virginia.
They did.
They called it for Biden.
Yeah.
Very interesting. But again, right now, 56% of the precincts have been counted. 56% of the votes, have been counted in Virginia. Texas right now, here's an interesting thing. Looks like the president's going to have a big win in Texas, Mike. Texas, 38 electoral votes. Michigan, he's doing very, very well. He is leading Biden very heavily in Michigan, 16 electoral votes there. Pennsylvania is showing, with 20 electoral votes at stake, only 38% of votes being that have been counted thus far. The president right now is on top in Pennsylvania, but not by much. Ohio, too close to call.
I'm seeing. Okay. Well, I'm seeing
what do you think?
A few different numbers here. 89% in Ohio. I'm seeing that the president has a almost 400,000 vote lead in Ohio. In Pennsylvania, 42% in. He's got over a 350,000 vote lead there. And in Michigan, 41% in, and he's got about a 300,000 vote lead there.
All right, well, that's okay. This is what I have for North Carolina. This is another important state. 15 electoral votes.
Yeah, that's very close.
It's too close to
yes,
call.
I'm seeing that as well. Again, I'm just going by the Fox poll, the Fox News poll, since we're a Fox affiliate. But you may have several others, Jake, that you're going by
Correct.
as well, and that's completely fine. Obviously, the more information, the better. Just to see, hey, what's this person saying? What's that person saying, etc. Concerning this. Now, we have also seen, and I think you may mention of this at some point tonight. We've also seen some unrest, or what appears to be some unrest in the streets on Pennsylvania Avenue right outside of the White House.
It's actually gotten worse from what I can see based on the video. So, well, I guess that is going to have to be, if this gets out of hand, what's the president going to do? Is he going to send in the National Guard? Are we going to allow this kind of stuff to continue? Do we say our streets are going to be safe? And if you try to bring violence to our streets, we're going to put you down? I guess that's something that this nation is going to have to decide. The president's got some tough calls if this gets out of hand tonight.
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of myself with this election here, but if that's to be the case, I had some very choice words for what the president should do if he wins re-election, and he's got essentially nothing to have to worry about at that point. But we'll maybe save those comments for.
It's interesting.
We're off the air.
The last time we had a situation like this was back in 1968, and I remember I stayed up till around midnight. The election between Hubert Humphrey and Richard Nixon was so close. It wasn't actually called, I don't believe, until the next morning. It was, if memory serves. Yeah. But there were no riots in the streets based on the outcome of the election, because remember, it was the Democrats at that time who the left was unhappy with because of the war in Vietnam.
Right. Well, and if anything, you would have thought that there would have been riots in the streets after the 68 DNC in Chicago, and the fact that Nixon did end up winning that election, you would have thought that. But yeah, that's maybe a separate topic that we have to get to at some point, is that this cannot stand to be the new norm just when the left doesn't get their way, or portions of the left. I realize it's not all of them, but that a portion of the left doesn't get their way and they resort to that. But Jake, before we take a timeout and reset the scene at the top of the hour, Mark Fowser's passed this along to me. Delaware Democrat Party Chair Eric Razor Schramm's statement on election night tonight. By every conceivable metric, Delaware made history today, and I couldn't be prouder of everyone who had a hand in it, from the committed voters who patiently stood in long lines to proudly cast their ballots, to the all-inspiring slate of candidates who inspired them to do so. While Democrats achieved sweeping victories up and down the ballot today, it's the people of Delaware who truly stand to win, because tonight's results are more than a rejection of a dark and dystopian Republican Party. They signify a collective commitment to forge forward with big ideas that will improve lives. We face enormous challenges as a state and as a country, but Joe Biden has inspired all of us to think about not just what's at stake, but what's possible when we come together. We've sacrificed so much over the last 4 years, but now we have the opportunity to pivot toward the light and usher in a new era of possibilities. COVID has cost us so many livelihoods, but it's also laid bare the inequalities that is, we must tackle: wage gaps, social determinants of health, inconsistent access to critical care, and unequal access to justice. Tonight's Democrats have a mandate. Tomorrow we begin the critical work of delivering for the people of Delaware. Here's the problem with that statement. And yes, they have sent a resounding statement across the state again that the party is moving further to the left. They have certainly done that, but let's not forget, Mr. Schramm, that it's your party that's been in charge of the Senate since 74. It's your party that's been in charge of the governor's house since, I believe, 92, and the state house since, I believe, 08. So any ills that you're talking about fixing, you've had the power for at least the last 15, 20, in some cases over 40 years. So you're in essence, you're indicting yourself and your own party for what you haven't done.
Well, just wait now that Carney's going to get another term. That's what it appears. Mike, what do you see what happens to energy prices here in the first state? Price of gasoline, the price of electricity, the price of natural gas, the the progressive left is already implementing the Green New Deal here, and this is all this is going to do is just expedite the rest of their plans. It's going to start in January.
Look, I'll say this. I realize that Joe Biden's on the ballot. That presents a very difficult challenge for Republicans. There also, yes, is a strong anti-Trump sentiment in upstate Delaware. So there were big challenges tonight. But what bothers me is not necessarily all the losses to Democrats, but it's the margins to progressive Democrats. That's the issue there, that the margins are so wide, not just to a moderate to liberal Democrat, but to progressive Democrats. The Republican Party, again, here we are another 2 years later. They've got some serious looking in the mirror to do. And it's going to take a full-out effort up and down the state and internally with all the bickering and backstabbing that goes on. That stuff needs to stop, or they're going to continue to absolutely get run over because tonight they have suffered another serious defeat at the hands of the Democrats.
Well, Mike, as you've heard me say a million times, the way the Republican Party is run in this state is the problem. It's not run well. There are a lot of Republicans in Delaware. There's a lot of support for conservative principles in Delaware. But the problem is that the Republican Party here in Delaware can't get out of its own way. When you have a year like this, with so many people, thousands of people lined up for blocks and blocks to vote, and you couldn't even get Republican volunteers to sit and be greeters, under those people who sit under the tents at many of the precincts across the state when the Democrats had them all manned, something's wrong. The way in which the party is organized, the way in which the party thinks of themselves, the way in which the party thinks of the public, there's something wrong. And until the Republican Party looks in the mirror, as Dallas Green used to say, until they look in the mirror and really see what the problems are, they're not going to get, there's not going to be any changes, any positive changes. And Jane Brady is not the answer to running the Republican Party, I'm sorry to say.
All right, Jake, we'll pick up and continue a conversation on the national election and state as well next half hour. Now, Patty Drago just emailed me because I reached out to her to ask her about the numbers just from her perspective about whether or not there would need to be a count of the write-in votes for her. She said, based on the published returns from Mark Schaefer, if my math is right, we need a district voter turnout at 74% or better. I think that's possible for this district. The Cape Gazette is reporting that because write-in votes have yet to be tabulated, results in the Council District 3 race will not be announced until tomorrow afternoon. That would be Wednesday, November 4th. In District 3, Republican primary Mark Schaefer of Lewis, as you know, defeated incumbent I.G. Burton. So that is what they're saying. We'll come back. We'll talk to John Brady about that as well. We know in District 1, Mike Vincent, council president, the Republican incumbent, has won re-election over Democrat challenger Hunter Hastings. All right, 11:02 across Delmarva. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and reset the scene next on Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD, Rehoboth Beach.
Has the COVID-19 pandemic changed your investment picture? Are you searching for proactive communication with your advisor? Herman Financial Services has been in Milford for the last 28 years as independent, objective investment advisors. We are a local, family-based, family-valued firm with a focus on income planning. We would like to partner with your family. Herman Financial Services, 302-424-1748.
Securities offered through Triad Advisors, LLC. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Triad Hybrid Solutions, LLC. A registered investment advisor. Herman Financial and Triad Advisors, LLC are not affiliated. Call Herman Financial today at 302-424-1748. That's 302-424-1748. Herman Financial Services.
COVID-19, civil unrest, rising crime rate, concerns about safety and loss of freedoms. These are some of the reasons people like you are buying more firearms than at any other time in our nation's history. If you're one of those concerned citizens who has bought or is looking to buy a firearm and get training, American Responder Services is your source. We have a full line of personal and home defense firearms and the training that go with them. Come and see us on Hebron Road in Rehoboth Beach or on the web at AmericanResponderServices.com and get armed and educated. We're your best shot at protecting yourself and your family.
Let's Do Trivia is now completely contactless, and it's back at Nicola Pizza on the Avenue. Game time is 7 p.m. every Tuesday. Nicola Pizza is getting back into the swing of things, and man, it feels good. Reservations are accepted for trivia, so call today to book your spot at 302-226-1393. That's 302-226-1393. Let's Do Trivia and Nicola Pizza on the Avenue, always creating a fun and safe atmosphere.
As the seasons change, find whole home comfort from the team you can trust at First Class Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Crawl Spaces. Upgrade your home's heating efficiency and save big on any size Carrier system installed for just $6,995. For consistent comfort this winter, turn to the experts with a Carrier system at firstclasshvac.com.
For heating, cooling, plumbing too, First Class takes care of you.
Pumpkins, pansies, pies, oh my! This fall, Wharton's Garden Center has it all. Wharton's Garden Center has everything you need to decorate your yard and home this season. Take a look at Beyond the Garden for crafted decorative fall dried wreaths and centerpieces. Visit the gift shop where you'll find Caspari paper goods with a wide range of home accessories. And don't forget to take home a specialty fruit, pot, or pumpkin pie. Stop by Wharton's Garden Center on Airport Road, Rehoboth, 302-278-7041.
It's that time of year again to honor our veterans and first responders on Veterans Day, November 11th, with a free basic oil change. Hi, it's Dave from Lewis Meineke, and this is our way of saying thanks to all those who have served to protect our freedoms. This year, due to COVID restrictions and following Delaware's protocol, services will be provided by appointment only. So please call early to set up your appointment for your free basic oil change. They'll fill up fast. That's by appointment only. No walk-ins this year. Lewis Meineke, doing car care right. 302-827-2054.
The days are getting shorter and the nights cooler, which can only mean one thing. It's time to call us at Baker Petroleum to set up your propane or heating oil deliveries for the upcoming winter. Time flies and the busy holiday season will be here before you know it. Don't delay and call our friendly staff today. Making the switch has never been easier. Serving all of Southern Delaware, feel the warmth of savings with Baker Petroleum at 302-684-8569. That's 302-684-8569.
The high school football season kicked off recently, and the Seaford and Laurel Star was there. Check out the Star's coverage of the Western Sussex football teams, as well as field hockey, soccer, cross country, and volleyball. Also this week, the Stars of the Week return to honor 2 high school athletes in the Seaford Star and 2 in the Laurel Star. Count on the Stars, Western Sussex's local newspapers, for the best local sports coverage in the state. Visit starpublications.online or call 302-629-9788 to subscribe to the Seaford and Laurel Star today. Listen to God's inspiration as it's spoken through Pastor Lon Solomon of the McLean Bible Church every Sunday at 8 a.m. on the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7 WGMD.
All right, 11:06, almost 11:07 across Delmarva, Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD, WGMD.com, and the WGMD app. Also live streaming at WGMD.com at our Facebook page as well. Let's head to WGMD Studio B and WGMD's John Brady. As, John, we continue to take a look at Delaware state and local results from tonight. Now, you went through a pretty long list of winners last half hour. But just taking a step back, as we've been talking about, certainly a very rough night for Republicans across the state of Delaware. Again, whether it was Joe Biden on the ballot, whether it was an anti-Trump vote, we know that there was strong turnout, certainly in Sussex County, but it looks like throughout the state as well, with almost 68% voter turnout we're seeing?
That's right, Mike. And I just tried to... I played with one of the reports here that Mark Giuliani showed me how to get. And to give you some ideas on, let's look across the board. Biden defeated Trump by 105,000 votes in Newcastle County, while Trump won Sussex by 13,000 and the president lost Kent by 4,000. Mm-hmm. So the way it looks, you start blue, you turn purple in Dover, and it's turning red in Sussex. And that's the way every one of the 3 statewide and 3 federal races looked.
That's a great observation. As I'm taking a look at that myself, going by county, that's a great job, John.
And it looks like, Julianne Murray won Sussex County by 10,000 votes. The nice part is those 6 races, when you're there at the burying of the hatchet on Thursday and listening to the results, they're only going to read Sussex County results. So it's going to look like a red wave hit Sussex.
Now, let me ask you, though, in that gubernatorial race, you mentioned Julianne Murray winning Sussex County by 10,000. But I got to be honest, I'm surprised that margin isn't wider. And we know that there are a lot of Democrats in western Sussex County, but they're blue dog Democrats that are Democrat in name only. They vote Republican. I'm surprised to an extent that it was only a 10,000 vote margin there. Am I off base in saying that?
You're not. And looking at it and looking across the board, all those races where it was blown out of proportion, if you jump back to the statewide, on the machine votes today, Julianne got 156,967. John Carney got 164,000. That was 8,000 vote difference. Where it was done was the 95,000 absentee votes that came in.
But they still count nonetheless.
And they still count.
Yeah.
And so when you go back and look at it, doing it by county, it just shows you that the power of, she was known in Sussex County. You would have expected her to do a little better, but that she's right along the lines with how Danielle Hall did, how Julia Pillsbury did, and Lee Murphy had the biggest gap. He got the most number of votes in Sussex County beside the president.
Yeah, how about that? You're absolutely right. And came up 3,000 shy in Kent County, as you mentioned, kind of a purple county there. But then Newcastle, the big margin between the two.
And you got to look at that big margin with who was leading the top of the ballot. And so what's going to have to be done by the Republican Party, it's got to start at the local election district. And this isn't criticism. You can criticize. I can't. This is where you have to go look at the voters. Was the absence of greeters for a lot of Republicans a problem at the polls? In the 14th district, I got a call from a couple people about the lack of greeters and the surprise there. Jake just talked about it with you, Mike. Is that a function of the Sussex County Committee, the statewide committee, or does it fall on the candidate to run everything for themselves? Because when you're doing all this and decentralizing it down to the candidate, you're making it almost impossible to win.
Well, and I think that's a very good example of work that needs to be done. I don't think, though, at the end of the day, the lack of greeters has anything to do ultimately with the end result. People have their minds made up by the time they're there. But you guys are pointing out, though, just a portion of something that's bigger in terms of the amount of fixes that the party needs among many different fronts there, as you point out. But again, a good breakdown, though, of Newcastle, Kent, and Sussex counties among the numbers. John, let me ask you this, though, and again, I made mention of this last hour with Jake. If I'm a Republican, the issue that I have is that upstate is that the margin of loss to not a moderate to liberal Democrat, but a progressive Democrat on top of it. I'm surprised it's that substantial.
We had joked for years that the C&D Canal, Lower Delaware and Upper Delaware are two states. These numbers tonight really formulate that there are still some Kent County people, but it drifted off. And if you look, and there is one Democrat in office who was elected below Dover, and that's Pete Schwarzkopf.
Yeah. Well, within the party of the Democrats, it's going to be interesting to see the power struggle there, the agenda struggle. Let me bring in Jake here. I know he had a question for you, and then I want to get back to the national scene because a big state has been called. But Jake, go ahead, sir.
John, there are going to be calls. I know we're going to field calls tomorrow morning. People are going to say, isn't it time to have, and you just broached the subject, isn't it time to start looking at a state of Delmarva? Because we have nothing in common with those people up there. And as a matter of fact, I think after this election is going to get nastier. What has to be done from a legal standpoint for the Eastern Shore of Maryland, who they feel that they are orphans in Maryland. We feel we are orphans in Delaware, and in Northern Virginia, they feel like they are orphans as well. What has to be done to create that state of Delmarva that's been talked about for so long?
The way I see it, there would have to be 3 bills passed in the 3 legislatures to allow a referendum to form a new state.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would get out of any of the 3 legislatures. I hate to take you back to like 1863.
Well, you were around then, John, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
what I thought, yeah.
West Virginia was the last one
That's
to
right.
successfully succeed from the rest of Virginia.
Right.
Which was done by referendum. The problems with what you're saying is, and I'm not trying to be critical of it, is you would have to get 3 legislatures to say, we don't want that island.
Right.
The peninsula. We don't want the peninsula, and then to agree on forming a new state.
Right.
The first thing that will come to people's minds is those states want the tax revenues.
I was just going to say, Maryland wants Ocean City tax revenue. Delaware wants the tourist and agricultural revenues. Yeah, there's no way they would let go of that.
So what I think could happen is in this next census, and not the 2020, but the 2030 census, Delaware may get a second congressional seat.
Right.
And that would probably run from Bear down to Selbyville and to Fenwick Island.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be a way in a contested race that a prominent Republican could win that seat.
Yeah, no, that is probably the only other scenario.
All right.
Mike, just to let you know, Senate right now, 43 Republican, 42 Democrat, 2 independent. That is the breakdown of the United States Senate.
Okay, now Florida, and John, we'll come back to you, sir. Jake, Florida has been called by Fox for President Trump. Not a surprise there, but right now, according to their electoral count, Joe Biden at 207, Donald Trump at 148, but Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, along with Texas, and Texas, of course, the biggest of all of those with 38 electoral votes, all shaded red at the moment.
Mike, it's beginning to look a lot like November 9th, 2016. Remember? That all of a sudden it got to the point where all these states started falling in for Trump, one after the other. And it's certainly looking a lot like it did 4 years ago.
Yeah, now Wisconsin has 60% in an 81,000 vote lead for President Trump.
Right.
In Michigan, he's got over almost a 300.
He's got a substantial lead in Michigan.
300,000 vote lead just about, but 45% in, so there's still 55% to go
26 electoral votes between those 2 states.
Right.
26.
In Ohio with 18, he's currently got 430,000 vote lead with 92% in. And again, usually as the country goes, Ohio goes, or the presidency goes, Ohio goes. Pennsylvania, which everybody's been talking about, a 400,000 vote lead there, or slightly over, with 46% in. North Carolina, and Jake, it's been kind of stuck here, is really too close to call. He has a slight advantage with 94% in.
Yeah, that is, and that's probably, if nothing changes, Mike, it's 95% of the vote counted. That's going to be recount territory in North Carolina. I don't think there's any doubt
with
of that.
Absentee,
Yeah, at 38 electoral votes at stake in Texas. So if he can capture Texas, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, it's pretty much over.
Yeah, Georgia right now, he's got
he's ahead in Georgia.
310,000, 68% in there. Yeah, another half hour to 45 minutes from now, maybe an hour from now for sure. I'd like to think that we'll have a much better idea right now.
We'll have a clearer picture, we should have a clearer picture by midnight, Mike, before midnight, I would think.
Yeah, I want to say I'm tentatively confident there when I take a look at those states and those numbers. Now, I do want to pass along some information on the, let's see, Mark Fowser says from WBAL at a 10 p.m. conference call with reporters, Maryland State Board of Elections deputy administrators said that election officials were holding back Election Day results until a voting center at Patuxent High School in Calvert County could finish serving waiting voters.
Wow.
He said that 475,249 voters cast ballots on Election Day. Of them, more than 13,500 took advantage of same-day registration offered on Election Day. For the first time in Maryland, more than 12,000 registered during early voting. So that is the news there. So Mary Lou and I were wondering about, where are the results from the Maryland website? Well, that's what we're getting, or that's the answer as to why there was a delay there. As we're taking a look in the Congressional 1st District, Andy Harris right now, 52% reporting. He's got a sizable advantage on Mia Mason. I think we can certainly call that for Andy Harris to win re-election there. We mentioned at Ocean City, Mayor Rick Mann unopposed. He's back as mayor for another 2 years. City Council, Peter Buas, the leading vote getter. He's a newbie, a 30-year-old local lawyer. Tony DeLuca running for re-election. He won. John Gehrig running for re-election. He won. And Frank Knight, who's running in place of his wife, Mary, who did not run for re-election after, I think, over 15 years. I think 06 roughly is when she joined the council. He won as well. And taking a look, the Baltimore Sun reporting in terms of the ballots, it looks like that the constitutional amendment that will give, more power to the legislature on the budget, looks like that will win. I hadn't seen anything on the sports gambling or the sports betting, but those were the two constitutional amendments in Maryland. But Jake, right now, you're right. It kind of a holding pattern at the moment because you tentatively feel good, but I'd like to see those reporting numbers get up into the 75, 80, 85% range before I start to feel better, but tentatively confident right now.
Well, again, if you look at the map, it kind of looks like it did back in 2016.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, Michigan, Mike, are big. Let's take a look how Minnesota is doing. Looks like Minnesota is clearly in Biden's court right now with those 10 electoral votes, but only 46% of the votes have been counted. I'm not sure if some of the more populated areas of Minnesota, because up north, obviously, it's sparsely populated, not sure. President Trump has won Idaho, not a big surprise there. Mm-hmm. He's won Utah and Wyoming, but again, those aren't the big vote getters as far as electoral votes are concerned.
Between three, you've got the 13. Montana shaded red. You would think he would get those three as well. But you're right; those aren't the biggies that you're looking at this point.
I'm hoping that they call Georgia soon because, let's put it this way. Georgia should be called soon. North Carolina should be called soon as well. If President Trump has kind of pulled ahead a little bit in North Carolina, but again, it's so close that I'm sure the Biden people will sue for a recount, and I can't say I blame them, really.
Now, Jake, the candidate that drew a lot of attention and outside money because of her campaign ads, which brought to light the degradation of Baltimore City, Kimberly Klacik, right now, 14% of the vote in. But sadly, Kwesi Mfume has a 63.6% to 36.4% lead over Klacik. Let's see what the final numbers say. I didn't have any grandeurs of delusion that she was going to win that race. But let's see what the final number is. Look, to make an impact when you're fighting such an uphill battle, sometimes okay, you got to start somewhere. And if she should finish, let's just say she finishes with 40 or 42%, I'd say that that's a pretty damn good showing in what was going to be a very difficult race to win, nonetheless, for a Republican. I know she's a black woman, but she's a Republican. If she should finish in the 40% range, I would say that's a win.
I'd have to agree with you, Mike. That'd be an interesting race to look at tomorrow to see what the final numbers look like, really.
Yeah. Yep. Now, John Brady had just messaged me just across here from the studio. He said, look at the popular vote, and right now, while President Trump, is trailing Joe Biden 207 to 148 in the electoral votes, the popular vote right now, the president leads by 700,000 votes right now.
Yeah, don't tell that to Hillary Clinton.
And yet he trails in the Electoral College at the moment. But you take a look at things. If he won the Electoral College and the popular vote, now California, Oregon, Washington, those have already been called for Biden, boy, and New York as well. Boy, that's pretty damn significant.
Without question.
I mean, because that not only would he win a second term, and we'll have to see where he finishes with the electoral count, but then to have gained and won the popular vote, if that comes to fruition, that sends a strong message.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, of course the Socialist Democrats will try to say, he's still an illegitimate president, but if he wins the popular vote, they really can't say that, can they?
No, they can't. No, I think that's something they've been holding over his head from the last election.
Because they don't like the Electoral College. So can they stop saying then that they don't like the Electoral College because Trump won the popular vote as well? If that is the case tomorrow morning when you and I are talking about it in the 9 o'clock hour.
Right. No, in agreement with you. Now, going back.
If we don't fall asleep.
Yeah, we've got to take a time out, but let me just go back quickly. You mentioned the U.S. Senate. Where do things stand again there? Because that is so important.
The Republicans hold a one-seat advantage over the Democrats, 43-42. Obviously, Mike Pence makes that 44 to 42. Two independents who never vote with the Republicans anyway. They vote with the Democrats. So, man, this I understand that the Socialist Democrats are they're going to have control of the House of Representatives, but to get that close in the Senate, that is too close for comfort, really.
Lauren Witzke, U.S. Senate candidate for Delaware, GOP, fellow America First Patriots. Unfortunately, we were not able to defeat the Democrat machine in Delaware tonight, but we earned more votes than any Republican in the history of the state. Our movement is just getting started. America First is inevitable. Thank you. We'll have to take a look at that. Taking a look in terms of the most votes, does she mean for a GOP Senate candidate? She received 185,113 tonight. In total between the three counties for almost 38% against Senator Chris Coons, who received 290,104 for a 59.43%. So we'll have to check that. I don't know what, in terms of, again, making a dent, Jake, what that target number is to say, hey, look, we know we were facing an uphill battle, but look at the number we got. Is that something that we could build upon? I'm not sure what their campaign was looking at.
That's what the Republican Party always says. You got to win races. Just getting a few extra votes here and there doesn't make a difference. You got to win. The name of the game is winning. Just ask Donald Trump; he'll tell you.
No, you're ultimately right.
And
I think
that's the trap that the Republican Party falls in Delaware. Right. Hey, we just got a few extra. All we need is a few extra votes, and we'll get an extra seat. They got to stop thinking that way.
No, I hear what you're saying. I think some races are different than others, though, in terms of expectations.
She ran a great campaign. She really did. She ran
a very aggressive campaign, and I'm not sure a campaign that Republicans in Delaware were ready to handle because she went very aggressive. It may be a tactic, though, that from a state perspective that they need to take a look at, because ultimately, right now, where the Republicans sit statewide, they're not in great shape in Dover come January. And so they might not be willing to go all in on that, but they might need to take a look and say, you know what, we have to start fighting, and fighting a lot more than we did. I still say a watershed moment a couple of years ago when, during the overnight, Democrats, in order to get casino relief, agreed to a minimum wage increase. Yep. Now, they had the votes, but what Republicans could have said is, look, if you pass this minimum wage in the middle of the night, we're not going to give you the votes for the bond bill. And on Monday morning, you can explain to Delawareans why you passed a minimum wage increase in the middle of the night on a Sunday when people are sleeping and going to church. You can explain that to them. And that was their watershed moment, and they failed to do it. And yes, you're right, they didn't, Jake. And I thought that was a pristine opportunity for them to take advantage of a situation where the Democrats in the middle of the night were playing politics as usual, and they failed to seize on that opportunity.
Lauren Witzke she basically went toe-to-toe with Chris Coons at the polls today. She really did. I mean, she just got her butt kicked, unfortunately, in the absentee votes. Coons 126,000 absentee votes.
And the sad thing though is that what this shows Chris Coons is, hey, I don't have to debate anybody. I could just do my own thing. Right. I mean, look, the Jewish Federation, that was all statewide candidates. That was not a true U.S. Senate debate for that virtual Zoom Jewish Federation that the Jewish Federation put on. So the bottom line there is that sends such a terrible message to Chris Coons that, hey, I don't have to debate anybody. This state's all blue, and who the hell cares about anybody that runs against me? But hey, that's what Delawareans apparently are okay with.
Hey, Chris, I don't think you're going to be Secretary of State now.
Well, no, that's true. All right, 11:28 is the time. More to come of our election coverage 2020 next.
Tune in this Thursday at 9:20 a.m. as I will be Delmarva Live with special guests Community Bank Delaware. Tune in to learn about their banking services. Community Bank Delaware, headquartered right here in Sussex County. It's where community matters.
Farm to table Southern style meets elegance at the Counting House Restaurant and Pub. Enjoy rooftop patio seating, happy hour, and daily specials, such as Friday's half-price bottles of wine. Visit on the Circle in Georgetown, 302-856-1836.
I'm WGMD Chief Meteorologist John Weatherby with your WGMD TrueCast weather. Tonight, mostly clear, west winds 5 to 10, diminishing late, low 48. Tomorrow, sunshine, south wind 5 to 10, high of 63, 54 tomorrow night. Thursday, mostly sunny, high of 67, 56 Thursday night. Friday, mostly sunny, 68. Saturday, patchy fog early, then sunshine, 67. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 67. Monday, mostly sunny, high of 68.
Are you in the market to buy a home, build a home, or refinance? If so, don't deal with an 800 number. Instead, call me, Jim Fritz of All American Mortgage, at 302-934-8787. I will meet with you face-to-face to help you secure the best possible financing for your home. We are a locally owned and operated mortgage brokerage with access to over 24 lenders. We are licensed in both Delaware and Maryland, so call me, Jim Fritz, at 302-934-8787 or my cell at 302-245-2327.
Termites outweigh humans on Earth and cause more than $5 billion in home and structure damage every year. With 25 years of servicing the shore, Accurate Pest Control features the Centricon Termite Colony Elimination System with always active technology that not only treats but prevents termites. With a full staff of state-certified technicians, you can rely on Accurate Pest Control and Centricon Always Active for a non-toxic cure to your termite concerns. Call Accurate Pest Control today at 302-875-2725.
Be a part of Delaware's largest deer competition with over $16,000 in cash and prizes. To compete in the Whitetail Open competition, purchase tickets at one of these locations: Kelly's Outdoors, Route 24 in Millsboro, or Lankford's Gun Shop on Stein Highway in Seaford. The Delaware Whitetail Open competition begins November 13th, and payouts will be presented at a dinner on the 21st. Tickets are $50 with adult, youth, and team divisions. For more information, search Delaware Whitetail Open Competition on Facebook.
It's that time again. You know, the Mahindra Fall Sales Event. This is Keith Pettit from Southern States in Milford. In times like these, we're all spending more time with family and working our land. And Mahindra Tractor is helping with 0% financing for 72 months on select models. So why wait? At Southern States in Milford, we have a great selection of Mahindra tractors and implements in stock and ready to go. That's Southern States in Milford on the corner of Route 14 and Williamsville Road, or milfordsouthernsstates.com.
Why waste time running from store to store comparing samples and swatches for your window coverings? Let Budget Blinds, your local experts, come to you. Our design consultants will bring samples, swatches, and styles to you so you can see how they look in your home. Or you can check out different ideas and trends at our showroom on Route 9, 4.5 miles west of 5 Points. From sales to installation, we make the process easy for you. Plus, we service all of our products. Call us at 856-6799 and let us get started on your new window coverings today.
All right, 11:32 is the time from Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD. General election coverage 2020 at election night is brought to you by our friends at Brazier's Pest Control, serving coastal Delaware and Maryland. Online at BraziersPestControl.com. First Class Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Crawl Spaces, serving Delaware and Maryland. Online at FirstClassHVAC.com. Also by our friends at Southern States Milford and Care Plus Pharmacy in Seaford. And I'm going to head to John Brady in just a second, but Jake, Fox News calling Arizona for Joe Biden, state that they're flipping back to blue, which gives him 11 electoral votes. And again, as they're kind of doing the breakdown here, as we know, again, we know Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, those are all huge states. Ohio, I'm taking a look right now, 94% in. The president's got over a 400,000 vote lead there, actually 450,000 vote lead there. North Carolina is tight. They haven't called Georgia yet for the president, 71% in there. He's got almost, well, a little under a 400,000 vote lead there. But North Carolina keeps seeming to come up in the conversation about its importance potentially, because that would be a hold. That's a hold. That wouldn't be a flip from a blue to a red state.
Correct. Absolutely correct. I was just looking, Mike, at Arizona, because Martha McSally is not doing well in her contest either against Mark Kelly, I guess it is.
Yes,
and,
correct.
That would be what are we saying? It's 43-42 right now. You could have a 43-43 excuse me, a Democrat-Republican split in the Senate.
I'm just curious.
Now remember, Martha McSally was appointed. What? She was appointed by the governor to finish out. Was it John McCain's term? I guess.
I think that is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
But don't hold me to it. Jake, I'm curious though. What kind of message does this send, though? Now, okay, I know Arizona's going blue, so if she should lose the race, I guess that's not necessarily surprising. It does look like in North Carolina, in that Senate race right now, Tillerson is holding on by a very small margin there. But I guess just in general, it's just curious how, and I get the House to the one extent because of the Democrats and the populous states like California and New York, for instance, but if President Trump should win re-election and you have maybe even a tighter Senate than we had before, and the House with Democrats, I guess, gaining some seats apparently, it just, boy, so many mixed messages does it send to Washington.
Mike, I just think, as much as I am very pleased the president's going to be re-elected, and I believe he will tonight, but this nation is going towards a socialist republic. I don't think anybody can deny that. That's where we're heading. Many Americans.
Then why vote for President Trump for 4 more years if he wins? And that's not a guarantee here.
Well, many Americans, especially in the big cities where they have the greatest populations that can vote for representation with respect to the House of Representatives, that's what they want. They want a socialist nation, and that's what they've elected. That's what they want, and that's what's happening. And with respect to the Senate, I'll probably sleep on it and have something else to say tomorrow. But again, it's they are going to harass this president. They're going to do everything they can to stop him from doing what he needs to do in his second term, as much as they did in the first. And there's no question they're going to try to impeach him again. Absolutely no. There's no question in my mind that they're going to try to impeach him again. They're going to keep it up until we tell them they can't. And it's possible that we might not. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
I think the one answer that I could give is that we have to realize that these Senate races are, in some cases, at least a little different from these presidential races in that, each candidate is their own person, and they may not be the president. They have their own flaws and mistakes made and things that they should or shouldn't have said, and maybe there is a certain issue that really sticks out that people can look beyond from the president, or for some reason it sticks in their craw with a certain race, so that you can't always equate, while you would think it would to a certain extent, you can't always equate every Senate or House race with the presidential race. But ultimately, if you're going to vote in President Trump, you would think that you would want to have give him some help and not actually make it tougher. But if he should win re-election, it looks like things could be even tougher. But look, gridlock's not always bad, Jake. And I say this, the founding fathers, to see the way the country has come out and voted and the decisions they've made, clearly there isn't a path that the entire country is ready to go down, which brings gridlock. Well, that's what the founding fathers wanted.
Wall Street loves gridlock. They love it.
But, I mean, that's what the founding fathers set up, that if there's not a path forward that a majority of the country could go with, then gridlock is the best way, because that way neither side gets their way, or at least not entirely.
And one of the problems with the Senate, Mike, as you know, is if you're elected senator, you're senator for life. People are not voted out of the Senate. They are in there for life. I mean, Chris Coons will be in the Senate until he starts to grow hair, I guess. I'm not sure.
All right, Jake, we're going to give you a time to get a timeout, a water break, something for you there. So rest your vocal cords there and continue to take a look at the coverage. We'll switch gears here. John Brady, let's head back to you at Studio B or Studio C here. I know you've been going through, again, a lot of the state results, though, but we really kind of know the answers to. We've gotten the results here, and a pretty smooth night for the Department of Elections, I would say.
Absolutely, Mike. The numbers started coming in earlier than a lot of us thought. I did talk to a state senator last night who was successful today, who said that they say they fixed everything. Well, there were some early things where results came up and then they went down, then they came up. But it went pretty smoothly tonight from the firewall. We didn't have the issues, didn't have to send the executive producer on a mad chase to Georgetown to get numbers. We're now at 435 of 439 precincts reporting. Throw in that there are 3 federal precincts for provisional votes for people who registered today under motor voter or had to cast a provisional ballot because their name wasn't on the list, or they said their felony had been pardoned, or some other reason and the election judge let them vote, but they put that in a separate precinct. So basically we have 99% of the vote in. And Delaware had a voter turnout of 68.48%. 68.5% is a very high number for Delaware. And unfortunately, since numbers they base decisions on, you may end up with vote by mail in Delaware having that date removed by the legislature in January.
Oh, John, I have no doubt with the results tonight. I have no doubt with that. I have no doubt there'll be early voting in Delaware at some point, like Maryland currently has.
Well, for the early voting, what you could do is, if you had a reason why you may not be around, they allow you to make an appointment under COVID to your office, to the election office in your county. And that's how former Vice President Joe Biden and his wife voted. As you know, both of them were outside the state earlier today, and they're both sitting up now at the convention center with the running mates and the spouses waiting to come out at the Chase Center. I think that they're holding it off because of these numbers. And I think Jake wants to talk to you about
I'm paying attention. I'll get to that in just a second.
Okay.
But I have no doubt that we'll see mail-in voting, early voting. I mean, you name it. I have no doubt with the direction of the legislature now, John, that we'll see that going forward here.
Well, here are the two that I'm thinking about for the future, and you always think outside the box.
Yeah.
Washington and Oregon have online voting. Are we going to get to the point where they don't have polling places? Are we going to have a point where, like you vote in Delaware, if you have state fair stock, you're able to log in to a protected website and vote your proxy? Are we going to start doing that so people can vote from home? And how are we going to verify that it's actually them voting for home and not somebody else?
Well, I think that we could see that in the next, I'm going to guess, that maybe 10 to 15 years. I think that in some areas that could end up happening, but I wouldn't be shocked down the line if that's also a part of it. I think that may end up being a little bit slower than we think, but still nothing would surprise me, John, with the way, at least in some states, we see things going. But again, tonight, a big night for Democrats in Delaware. Not a good night if you're a Republican, especially upstate. Yeah, the downstate races, a lot of unopposed, and those that were opposed won their races. But you lose the Senate now, a supermajority there. The Democrats have full reign to do whatever they want, and they will be doing that next year. You can be sure in a number of different areas. And now, John Carney, who would be considered considered a moderate to liberal Democrat, not a progressive. He's going to be pushed by members of his own party to go further left. I think we discussed that a little bit earlier in the program as well. So it's an historic night, John, for Democrats, because now their party has gone from a conservative blue state to at least a step or two forward to a progressively blue state.
That's correct. And Delaware has now elected as representatives and senators in Dover 3 members of the LGBTQ community.
Mary Lou just messaged me, HB 38, early voting in Delaware. That act establishes in-person early voting in Delaware beginning January 1st, 2022, signed last year by John Carney. And thank you for updating me on that. So that's already going to be in place then.
So, yep,
there you go. I'd forgotten.
Moving progressively left.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Sussex is staying conservatively right.
Yes.
The auto accident happens on Route 1 just south of Dover.
Indeed, you're right. Mary Lou had said, hey, Mike, look at some of the election numbers in Maryland for the presidential by mail. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, 755,184 by mail to just 115,501 for President Trump and VP Mike Pence. Election day voting, President Trump and VP Pence, 65,339 to just 29,297 for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Early voting, which is I believe it was 10 days to be exact, ended yesterday. 507,000 for Joe Biden. For President Trump, 453,000. So the mailing, clearly the big difference there. The margin's not quite as big in early voting and Election Day. The president had the advantage there. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More news to get to on the national scene here as we continue on Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD.
This WGMD Marine Weather Report is brought to you by Jacuzzi Hot Tubs of Delaware, your satisfying solution for every season. Call 302-645-7474.
I'm WGMD Chief Meteorologist John Weatherby with your WGMD TrueCast Marine Weather Report. Coastal waters, variable winds 5 knots or less, seas 1 to 2 feet. Wednesday, south winds 7 to 10 knots, seas at 2 feet. Ocean water temperature now 55 degrees. Delaware Bay west-northwest winds becoming southerly after midnight, seas at 1 to 2 feet. And Wednesday, south winds 5 to 8 knots becoming 7 to 10 knots later, seas around 2 feet.
Hershey Exteriors would like to honor our veterans this season by offering 10% off any project. Whether you're in need of a roof replacement, a fresh face for your siding, updated windows, or if you just have a leak, all veterans qualify for 10% off. Call the professionals at Hershey Exteriors to see just how much sweeter your home can be. For your free estimate, call today at 302-278-1950. Always remember, life is sweeter with Hershey Exteriors.
It's that time of the year again. Are you prepared to protect your home and family in case of a power outage? Hi, I'm Mark Fry with Shager & Gas Company. Call Shager & Gas today to see how Generac Power Systems can protect your home and family. Shager & Gas will install a fully automatic Generac generator based on your needs. You can power essential items or the entire house. When you have a Generac generator installed by Shager & Gas, you will have peace of mind, comfort, and security in your home. Call Shager & Gas Company today at 644-7700 or stop by our Rehoboth or Millsboro locations for more information.
The days are getting shorter and the nights cooler, which can only mean one thing. It's time to call us at Baker Petroleum to set up your propane or heating oil deliveries for the upcoming winter. Time flies and the busy holiday season will be here before you know it. Don't delay and call our friendly staff today. Making the switch has never been easier. Serving all of Southern Delaware, feel the warmth of savings with Baker Petroleum at 302-684-8569. That's 302-684-8569.
It's that time of year again to honor our veterans and first responders on Veterans Day, November 11th, with a free basic oil change. Hi, it's Dave from Lewis Meineke, and this is our way of saying thanks to all those who have served to protect our freedoms. This year, due to COVID restrictions and following Delaware's protocol, services will be provided by appointment only. So please call early to set up your appointment for your free basic oil change. They'll fill up fast. That's by appointment only. No walk-ins this year. Lewis Meineke, doing car care right. 302-827-2054.
A reverse mortgage may be exactly what you need to maximize your retirement. Senior life should be stress-free, and a reverse mortgage can eliminate your current mortgage with no loan repayment. Call me, Jim Fritz, with All American Mortgage to see how you can rid yourself the stress of a monthly mortgage payment, which may be preventing you from retirement or from celebrating retirement. Call Jim Fritz with All American Mortgage, serving Delmarva at 302-934-8787, or reach me on my cell at 302-245-2327.
Did you know that Stokely Materials is your exclusive local Cambridge dealer? Hi, this is John Dorman, GM of Stokely Materials. Take advantage of exclusive top quality products and save with Stokely when you select from pavers and retaining walls to mulch, decorative stone, sand, soil, and much more. Make sure to stop by and visit us at our newest location in Nassau at 32416 Lewis Georgetown Highway, just 1 mile west of Route 1 Lewis, or visit our Georgetown location on Route 113. We're also a click away at StokelyMaterials.com.
All right, 11:48 is the time on Delmarva's election station, 92.7 WGMD. A lot to get to, a short period of time, so folks bear with me, including the folks I'm working with right now. Newsmax called Texas for President Trump. Fox has yet to do that, at least unless something's changed in the last second or so. Yeah, I haven't seen that, at least online. I'm not seeing that yet. Now, Fox did call Ohio for the president, but right now 223 to 166. They still have Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Iowa, Texas, all shaded red, along with Montana. So we'll keep you up to date on that. Now, our plan here, by the way, is to take you up to midnight tonight and then to turn things over to Fox on the TV side and continue the coverage there. We've got pretty much all the results in from the state and local levels. We still do not have an official count, or we don't have an official result in the Sussex County Council District 3. They're going to have to count the write-ins for Patty Drago. The AP is calling Andy Harris in Maryland's 1st Congressional District. No surprise there, with a pretty substantial lead over Mia Mason, who doesn't even live in the district. She lives in Frederick, by the way. But joining us now, and I apologize, Steve, just briefly, but Delaware State Representative Steve Smick. Steve, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Congrats on re-election, but obviously it's going to be a very, very difficult session in January, and one that you kind of have an idea how tough it is because of the margin in the House as it was, but now the Senate losing not one but two seats. We knew Kathy Cloutier was in for a tough time. We thought Del Calo was a little safer, and he lost as well. Progressives, by count, 3 or 4 progressives. Things are going to be awfully tough for Republicans next year.
It's actually very difficult to understand, and I don't think people are going to understand that right now the conservative thought is lost in Delaware in our legislature, which forces, even if Carney would be not supportive of some of this legislation that's going to be coming his way, he's going to be very intimidated in not signing it. So here, you're going to see taxes go up. You're going to see some of your freedoms lost. The first thing that you're going to see is a whole lot of Second Amendment attacks in this legislative year.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Steve, and that's an area where the progressives are going to push gun control, minimum wage, the Green New Deal. Jake's talked about that a lot in terms of renewable energies and trying to do away with fossil fuels, which is going to cost a lot of money. Just you name it across the board, they now feel empowered. And now, look, hey, if you're a moderate to even a liberal Democrat, you've been put on notice at this point now that your party, you either better catch up on the left or the party's going to leave you, I guess.
Oh, yeah. But, I think what surprised me was the Democrat use of the mail-in vote. That was amazing. That was astonishing.
Yeah. Yeah, the numbers are there.
Everybody. It was double, sometimes triple the amount of support. It was neck to neck in the actual voting at the polls. Then you saw some Republicans that had lost in those mail-in votes that came back. They had such a strong comeback in the polling booth. So that just goes to show you, I'm very, very concerned, very, I guess, I am personally very inquisitive to find out about the mail-in votes and the identity and validity of these voters.
Steve, at this point, I mean, the Republicans are powerless. I mean, it appears that essentially Delaware is going to need to feel the pain of the leftist policies before Republicans have a chance to make a case again. And that's just kind of where things are. I mean, there's no getting around it.
Yeah, I know. But, you know, I was listening to your show because I'm out picking up signs, and I can't thank you and Jake for staying on top of it. John was a great addition. He brings back so much knowledge. But I was floored to see the mail-in vote. I'm floored to see that somehow Senator D'Alcalo did represent his district. How did he lose? You know, you saw Kathy Cloutier. How did she lose when she had been there for so many years? So I'm glad that we kept things happening in the South, but it's not enough.
No,
if you really want to win Delaware, you got to campaign in the North.
Well, and make a lot of strategic changes as well going forward all across the board. But, Steve, we appreciate your time tonight. I hope your wife feels better. I know you're going to be out tomorrow, and we'll talk to you a week from tomorrow.
Very good, sir. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. As we wind things down at 11:53, let me take our final timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear briefly from Jake and John as we wrap up election coverage 2020 right here at WGMD.
Hi, this is Brent Poffenberger of the Cottage Cafe in Bethany Beach. Today is Tuesday, so that means we are featuring ribs and fried chicken. Get 4 pieces of fried chicken with 2 sides for $14, or how about a half rack of meaty pork ribs smothered in Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce for only $15. Tonight is trivia night. Come on in and play trivia. The fun starts at 6 p.m. Don't forget you can order online and pick up curbside at cottagecafe.com.
While most of us are spending more time at home, now you can make that time more enjoyable by enhancing your garage or any outdoor area with Slide Lock of the Eastern Shore. Enhance your man cave, deck, or balcony with new concrete floor coatings. Use top products that are 4 times stronger than epoxy. Also ask about staining and polishing. Call Slide Lock today at 302-945-2200.
Make your garage the best on the block. Slide Lock, your garage.
Don't get frantic. Call Atlantic.
Soon you'll be ready to turn up the heat. No need to bundle up in jackets and heavy sweaters around the house. With Atlantic Refrigeration, you'll be able to feel comfortable while saving money on your heating bill. Hi, this is Dave Jones. With great financing available, now is the time to take advantage of a new Trane heating and cooling system. Let us show you how we can reduce your energy bill up to 50%. Call Atlantic Refrigeration today, your independent Trane dealer, at 302-856-9300, or find us online at atlanticrefrigeration.com, because it's hard to stop a Trane.
Subject to credit approval, see dealer for details.
Ants, spiders, rats, and mice. Not only are they a nuisance, but carriers of disease. Now you can rid your home of pests with Accurate Pest Control's professional pest management program. Accurate Pest Control is a locally owned, family-operated business celebrating 25 years of servicing the shore. For the pest control company with a full staff of state-certified technicians with quality service, call Accurate Pest Control today at 302-875-2725 or visit accurate.pro. Need tires? Visit In-N-Out Tire Pros, your Millsboro connection to 2 million brand name tires at value pricing.
This is Bill Schreider, owner of In-N-Out Tire Pros. Do you or someone you know need a set of tires but just don't have the cash to buy them? I can help you with that. We have payment plans starting as low as $40 with or without credit. Give us a call or stop by In-N-Out Tire Pros, 302-934-1900.
That's In-N-Out Tire Pros, Betts Pond Road, Millsboro, 302-934-1900. Relax. Jacuzzi. 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 Jacuzzi Hot Tubs of Delaware. Lewis and Millville. 302-537-5525.
537-5525.
5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 5525. 55
COVID-19, civil unrest, rising crime rate, concerns about safety and loss of freedoms. These are some of the reasons people like you are buying more firearms than at any other time in our nation's history. If you're one of those concerned citizens who has bought or is looking to buy a firearm and get training, American Responder Services is your source. We have a full line of personal and home defense firearms and the training that go with them. Come and see us on Hebron Road in Rehoboth Beach or on the web at AmericanResponderServices.com and get armed and educated. We're your best shot at protecting yourself and your family.
Morningstar Publications publishes the Seaford and Laurel Star community newspapers, the Salisbury Star monthly newspaper, and the Morningstar Business Report. Pick up a copy of the Seaford or Laurel Star newspapers at your favorite convenience and grocery stores in western Sussex County. Learn more about our award-winning publications by calling 629-9788 or visiting our website, starpublications.online. Listen to God's inspiration as it's spoken through Pastor Lon Solomon of the McLean Bible Church every Sunday at 8 a.m. on the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7 WGMD.
All right, 11:57. Just quickly, Jake Smith, final thoughts about the presidential election right now, in which Fox has given Texas to President Trump.
Yeah, Mike, based on what I'm seeing right now, and I'm not sure what Fox is up to, whether they're trying to make themselves look like heroes. I have President Trump right now with 290 electoral votes. He's obviously won Georgia. He's obviously won North Carolina. He's obviously won Pennsylvania. He's obviously won Michigan. And he has obviously won Wisconsin. And on top of that, it appears he's going to win Virginia, regardless of Fox saying that their exit polls show that Joe Biden won Virginia.
Well, we'll find out. We'll be back tomorrow morning to talk about it.
I have him at 290 electoral votes at least.
Okay. All right. Jake, we will see if the morning brings any more clarity. Hopefully it certainly will. John Brady, just quickly, sir, final thoughts tonight.
As the nation goes red for the re-election of Donald Trump, Delaware goes blue top down to the suffering of the good folks in Sussex County.
Yeah, if President Trump should win re-election, that's certainly a big deal. But more locally, at a statewide level, they're going to have to deal with the effects of yet another blue wave after 2 years ago, yet another one that struck tonight. Jake and John, thank you so much. Always a pleasure working with you two. Mark Fowser, Mary Lou, thank you both as well. Mark Giuliani, Julia Hardy, Walt Palmer, executive producer, thank you so much. Thanks to Steve Smick and all those that contributed tonight that I didn't get a chance to mention. And for all you listening, all are great advertisers as well. Atlantic Refrigeration and Air Conditioning, Care Plus Pharmacy, Seaford, Southern States, Milford, American Responder Services, Rehoboth, Schenker Gas, Millsboro and Rehoboth, Gunshooter Enterprises, Rehoboth, First Class Heating and Air Conditioning, and Bracers Pest Control. Fox News will continue the coverage next, back tomorrow at 5 a.m. Thanks so much, and keep it here.
The home of Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, and